Hi everyone, welcome to Hidden Hokage. I hope you're all doing well. Today I want to argue that Sasuke Uchiha stands as the perfect villain not because he was born evil, but because we watched him become one. Through the trauma of the Uchiha massacre, manipulation by those he trusted, and a descent into darkness that felt both inevitable and heartbreaking, Sasuke embodies what makes a villain truly compelling. Understandable motivations driving. Inexcusable actions, intelligence without morality, and a mirror held up to the hero showing what he could have become. His journey from innocent child to international terrorist is not just character development, it is a masterclass in how to build a villain audiences cannot help but sympathize with, even as they watch him cross every line. But before we begin, I would just like to kindly ask you all to subscribe. It is completely free, and it really helps us improve the videos for this wonderful community we have managed to build. Anyway, that is enough. Let us begin. Section 1. The Night That Created a Villain, the Uchiha Massacre. Every great villain has an origin story. Some are born into darkness, others choose evil deliberately. But the most compelling villains are forged by a single moment that breaks them so completely they can never be whole again. For Sasuke Uchiha, that moment came on an ordinary night when he was 7 years old, walking home after a long day of training at the academy. By the time the sun rose the next morning, his entire world had been reduced to corpses and questions. The Uchiha clan massacre did not just take Sasuke's family. It planted the first seeds of what would eventually grow into one of anime's most complex villains. To understand why the massacre created a villain rather than just a broken child, we need to understand who Sasuke was before that night. He was not some troubled kid with warning signs. Sasuke Uchiha was happy. According to his own memories shown throughout the series, he was eager to please his family and desperate to make them proud. He came from the Uchiha clan, one of the most powerful and respected families in all of Konohagakure. His father, Fugaku Uchiha, led the clan and also commanded the Konoha military police force. His mother, Mikoto Uchiha, was kind and loving. But above everyone else in his life, Sasuke adored his older brother Itachi. Itachi was everything Sasuke wanted to be. A prodigy who graduated from the academy at the top of his class, Itachi had already made a name for himself as one of the village's most talented shinobi despite his young age. The bond between the brothers was deep and genuine. In flashbacks shown during the series, we see that as an infant, Sasuke would cry whenever anyone besides Itachi held him. The moment Itachi took him back, baby Sasuke would immediately stop crying and smile. This was not just sibling affection. For young Sasuke, Itachi represented his entire world. Every achievement Sasuke made at the academy was done with one goal in mind, earning his brother's approval and spending more time with him. But Itachi was often busy with missions, leaving Sasuke to train alone and wait for those rare moments when his brother would return home. Sasuke practiced throwing kunai and shuriken for hours, hoping Itachi would see his improvement. He studied harder than his classmates, aiming to follow in his brother's footsteps. Fugaku, their father, often compared Sasuke to Itachi, which only pushed Sasuke to work harder. The pressure was immense for a child, but Sasuke carried it willingly because he believed his family's legacy was worth upholding. The Uchiha were expected to be the best, and Sasuke intended to prove he belonged to that legacy. Then came the night everything changed. Sasuke was walking home through the Uchiha compound after a long day at the academy. The first sign that something was wrong came when he noticed the streets were too quiet. No lights in the windows, no voices calling to each other, no sounds of daily life, just silence. Then he saw the bodies, members of his clan, people he had known his entire life, lying dead in the streets. Blood stained the ground. Weapons were scattered everywhere. The Uchiha compound, normally bustling with activity, had become a graveyard. Sasuke ran. Terror drove him forward as he raced toward his family's home, desperately hoping his parents were safe. He burst through the door, calling for them. What he found instead would haunt him for the rest of his life. His parents, Fugaku and Mikoto Uchiha, lay dead on the floor of their home, and standing over their bodies, sword still in hand, was Itachi. The boy who had loved his brother more than anyone in the world was now staring at that same brother covered in their parents' blood. Sasuke could not process what he was seeing. He begged Itachi for an explanation, his voice breaking with confusion and fear. This had to be a mistake. Itachi would never do this. Itachi protected people. Itachi was a hero. But Itachi's response destroyed any hope Sasuke had left. He told Sasuke that he had killed their parents, killed the entire clan, to test his own power. He said it with cold indifference, as if their lives meant nothing to him. Sasuke tried to run, but Itachi caught him. What happened next goes beyond physical violence. Itachi used a technique called Tsukuyomi, a genjutsu only possible with the Mangekyo Sharingan. This was not just an illusion. Tsukuyomi traps the victim's mind in a world where Itachi controls all 5 senses and even the passage of time. While only a moment passes in the real world, the victim experiences hours, days, or even longer trapped in the genjutsu. Itachi used this technique to force his 7-year-old brother to watch their parents' murder over and over again. Sasuke relived that moment repeatedly, watching Itachi kill Fugaku and Mikoto hundreds of times while trapped in this mental prison. When the genjutsu finally ended, Sasuke collapsed. But before losing consciousness, Itachi left him with final words that would define the rest of Sasuke's life. He told Sasuke he was not worth killing, yet. He said that only by becoming stronger, by awakening his own Mangekyo Sharingan, could Sasuke ever hope to defeat him. Itachi encouraged Sasuke to hate him, to let that hatred make him powerful, and to come find him when he was strong enough to take revenge. Then Itachi left, disappearing into the night and leaving his younger brother alone among the corpses. What Sasuke did not know at the time was that this moment held more complexity than it appeared. In his trauma and terror, Sasuke's Sharingan awakened for the first time. The Sharingan is the Uchiha clan's bloodline limit, a powerful eye technique that grants enhanced perception and various abilities. It typically awakens during moments of extreme emotional stress. Witnessing the massacre of his entire clan certainly qualified. With his newly awakened Sharingan, Sasuke actually got up and pursued Itachi. He attacked his brother, managing to knock off Itachi's forehead protector before his body gave out. Itachi picked up the forehead protector, and in that moment, a tear rolled down his face. Sasuke saw this, but the trauma of the night was so overwhelming that Sasuke's mind buried this memory. For years he would not remember seeing Itachi cry. He would not remember fighting back. He only remembered the horror and Itachi's cold words. Sasuke woke up in the hospital. The third Hokage, the leader of Konohagakure, stood by his bed with a look of deep sadness. Sasuke learned that he was now one of only 2 surviving Uchiha. The other survivor was Itachi, who had fled the village and was now branded a rogue ninja. The entire compound that had been full of his family and clan members now stood empty. Hundreds of people were gone in a single night. Sasuke was 7 years old, and he was suddenly alone in a way few people ever experience. The days immediately following the massacre reveal how deeply it broke something inside Sasuke. According to the series, he spent those first few days wandering through the Uchiha compound by himself. He walked past the homes of relatives and family friends, all empty now. He stood in the training grounds where he had practiced with his father and other clan members. He went to the places where he had played as a child. Every location held memories of people who no longer existed. The compound became a monument to loss, and Sasuke walked through it like a ghost, trying to understand how his world had been destroyed so completely. During this time, Sasuke made a decision that would shape everything to come. He decided to do exactly what Itachi had told him to do. He would hate Itachi. He would become stronger. He would dedicate every moment of his life to gaining the power needed to kill his brother. Revenge became his only purpose. Nothing else mattered. Making friends, enjoying his childhood, building a future, all of it was meaningless compared to avenging his clan. Sasuke was 7 years old, and he had already chosen to live for hatred and death. This decision is what separates Sasuke's tragedy from simply being a sad backstory. Many characters in anime experience terrible loss, but Sasuke did not just experience the massacre. He internalized Itachi's instructions and built his entire identity around them. Itachi told him to hate, so Sasuke hated. Itachi told him to grow stronger through that hatred, so Sasuke pursued power at any cost. Itachi told him that only killing him would matter, so Sasuke made that his sole goal in life. The massacre gave Sasuke trauma, but his response to that trauma planted the seeds that would eventually grow into villainy. When Sasuke returned to the academy, his classmates and teachers noticed the change immediately. The boy who had been relatively normal, if a bit serious about his training, was now completely closed off. Sasuke stopped using honorifics when speaking to others, which is considered extremely rude in Japanese culture. This small detail shows his rejection of social bonds and normal relationships. He made no effort to make friends or connect with anyone. His classmates saw him as cool and aloof, but the truth was darker. Sasuke had decided that bonds with other people were irrelevant to his goal. Worse, they might even be weaknesses that would slow him down. The only person who seemed to understand Sasuke's loneliness was Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto had lost his parents too, and had grown up isolated and alone. He recognized that same pain in Sasuke, even if Sasuke refused to acknowledge it. Naruto tried to connect with Sasuke, though his methods were often clumsy and antagonistic. But Sasuke pushed everyone away, including Naruto. He threw himself into his training with an intensity that worried his teachers. He graduated at the top of his class, just as he had planned. Every achievement was another step toward the power he needed to kill Itachi. What makes the Uchiha Massacre such a perfect villain origin is that it creates understandable motivations for completely inexcusable actions later. When we later see Sasuke betray his friends, abandon his village, and hurt innocent people, we understand why he does it. We saw what was done to him when he was 7. We watched a loving, happy child be transformed into a vessel of revenge. The massacre does not excuse what Sasuke becomes, but it explains it in a way that makes him a tragic figure rather than just an evil one. The massacre also established the pattern that would define Sasuke's entire journey: trauma leading to isolation, leading to more darkness. Sasuke responded to the worst night of his life by cutting himself off from anyone who might help him heal. He chose to nurture his hatred rather than seek support. He decided that power mattered more than connection. These were the choices of a traumatized child, but they set him on a path that would eventually lead to genuine villainy. The 7-year-old Sasuke who walked through that empty compound alone was already taking his first steps toward becoming an international criminal. There is one final detail about the massacre that makes it such effective groundwork for Sasuke's villain arc. The entire event was based on a lie. Itachi did not kill the clan to test his power. He did it to save Sasuke's life and prevent a civil war. But Sasuke would not learn this truth for years. During all that time, he was pursuing revenge against his brother based on false information. He was nurturing hatred for someone who had actually sacrificed everything to protect him. When Sasuke eventually learned the truth, it did not make him abandon his path of revenge. Instead, it redirected his rage toward new targets. The massacre taught Sasuke that the world was cruel, that power was everything, and that bonds would only be used to hurt him. Those lessons stuck, even when the specific facts changed. The Uchiha clan massacre was not just a traumatic event in Sasuke's past. It was the moment that created the foundation for everything he would become. Every villainous action Sasuke takes later in the series traces back to this night. When he betrays Konoha, he is acting on lessons learned from the massacre. When he pushes away his friends, he is protecting himself from experiencing that loss again. When he pursues power through dangerous and forbidden means, he is following the path Itachi laid out for him during those final moments in their home. The massacre gave Sasuke a wound that never healed. Instead, it festered and grew until it consumed him entirely. This is why Sasuke Uchiha works as the perfect villain. His villainy is not random or inexplicable. It begins with a real trauma that we witness and understand. We see the exact moment when a good person's life is destroyed. We watch a child make the wrong choices in response to unbearable pain. And we understand, even as we condemn his later actions, that the Uchiha massacre created something broken that could never quite be fixed. Sasuke did not choose to have his family murdered, but he chose how to respond to that murder. And that choice, made by a traumatized 7-year-old child walking through streets full of corpses, was the first step on his journey to becoming a villain. Before we move on, make sure to subscribe if you're enjoying this breakdown. But the massacre alone didn't create the villain Sasuke would become. That transformation required years of deliberate isolation, obsessive training, and the conscious choice to value revenge above everything else, including the few people who tried to reach him. Section 2. From Prodigy to Avenger, Sasuke's Academy Transformation. The Uchiha massacre left Sasuke alive but fundamentally changed. However, trauma alone does not create a villain. What matters is how someone responds to that trauma. Sasuke had choices in the days, months, and years following the massacre. He could have sought help. He could have accepted support from the village. He could have allowed himself to heal, even partially. Instead, Sasuke made a deliberate decision to embrace his hatred and transform himself from a grieving child into a weapon pointed at his brother. This transformation did not happen overnight. It was a gradual process that played out during his remaining years at the academy, and every step of it was a choice that pushed him further from redemption and closer to villainy. Before the massacre, Sasuke Uchiha was a completely different person. This is important to understand because it shows that his later coldness was not his natural state. The Sasuke who existed before that terrible night was genuinely happy. According to flashbacks shown throughout the Naruto series, young Sasuke smiled often. He was eager to please his parents and desperate for his father's approval. He practiced his techniques with enthusiasm, not just grim determination. When his father Fugaku would acknowledge his progress, even slightly, Sasuke's face would light up with joy. This was a child who wanted to make his family proud because he loved them, not because he was obsessed with power. His relationship with Itachi defined his early childhood. The series shows us that as an infant, Sasuke had an almost supernatural attachment to his older brother. When anyone besides Itachi held baby Sasuke, he would cry inconsolably. The moment Itachi took him back, Sasuke would immediately stop crying and smile. This was not just normal sibling affection. For infant and toddler Sasuke, Itachi represented complete safety and happiness. As Sasuke grew older, this attachment evolved into pure admiration. Itachi was everything Sasuke wanted to become. Strong, skilled, respected, and praised by everyone in the clan. Sasuke followed Itachi around whenever possible, watching him train and asking him to teach techniques. Itachi, for his part, was a caring older brother despite his many responsibilities. He would poke Sasuke's forehead affectionately and promise to train with him later. These moments of connection were precious to young Sasuke. When Itachi was away on missions, Sasuke would practice alone, imagining the day when he would be strong enough to truly train alongside his brother as an equal, rather than just a student. The dynamic was healthy and loving. Sasuke had a role model who genuinely cared about him, and that relationship gave young Sasuke something to aspire to in a positive way. Fugaku, their father, often compared Sasuke to Itachi. This created pressure, but it was the kind of pressure that many children experience. Sasuke wanted to live up to his family's legacy as a member of the prestigious Uchiha clan. He worked hard at the academy, studying techniques and practicing his skills. But this work came from a place of healthy ambition, mixed with a desire for his father's approval. It was not yet the obsessive, self-destructive drive that would define him later. Young Sasuke had balance in his life. He had a family he loved, a brother he admired, and goals that motivated him without consuming him. Then the massacre happened, and that balanced, happy child ceased to exist. When Sasuke woke up in the hospital and learned that Itachi had killed everyone, something inside him made a choice. The series makes it clear that Sasuke spent the first few days after the massacre wandering alone through the Uchiha compound. He walked past empty homes and silent training grounds. He stood in places where happy memories had been made, now haunted by the knowledge of what had happened there. During this time of isolation, Sasuke could have reached out. The third Hokage had promised to look after him. There were adults in the village who would have helped him process his grief. But Sasuke rejected all of that. Instead, Sasuke decided to do exactly what Itachi had told him to do during those final moments. He decided to hate. He decided to dedicate his entire life to becoming strong enough to kill Itachi. And he decided that nothing else in his life would matter until that goal was achieved. These were the choices of a traumatized 7-year-old child, but they set him on a path toward villainy. Sasuke was not forced to choose revenge. He embraced it willingly because it gave him a purpose in the face of overwhelming loss. When Sasuke returned to the academy, everyone noticed the change. His classmates and teachers saw that the boy who had been relatively normal before was now completely different. Sasuke stopped using honorifics when speaking to others. In Japanese culture, this is a significant sign of disrespect or social distance. By dropping these polite forms of address, Sasuke was essentially announcing that he did not care about social bonds or relationships. He was setting himself apart from everyone around him deliberately. Sasuke made zero effort to make friends. The series shows us that multiple girls in his class had crushes on him. Sakura Haruno was the most obvious, but she was far from the only one. These girls would try to get his attention, invite him to spend time with them, or simply talk to him. Sasuke ignored all of it. He was not interested in romance, friendship, or any form of connection. When classmates tried to include him in activities or conversations, he would give short, dismissive responses or simply walk away. This was not just shyness or grief. It was a deliberate choice to isolate himself from everyone around him. The only exception to this isolation was Naruto Uzumaki, though not in the way Naruto wanted. Naruto had also grown up alone and without parents. He understood loneliness in a way their other classmates could not. Naruto recognized the pain in Sasuke because he saw a reflection of his own suffering. This made Naruto want to connect with Sasuke, to reach out to someone who might understand what it felt like to be isolated. But Naruto's methods were clumsy and often antagonistic. He would challenge Sasuke, compete with him, and try to prove himself as Sasuke's equal or better. Sasuke found this annoying at first. He saw Naruto as a loud, incompetent failure who had no business comparing himself to an Uchiha. But over time, something shifted. Sasuke never admitted it openly during this period, but Naruto's persistence created a connection despite Sasuke's best efforts to remain isolated. Naruto was the only person who did not treat Sasuke with either pity for his loss or awe for his talent. Naruto treated him like a rival, like someone worth competing against. In a strange way, this was closer to a real relationship than anything else Sasuke had after the massacre. Still, Sasuke kept Naruto at a distance emotionally. He never opened up about his pain or his goals. He never sought Naruto's friendship deliberately. Instead, he focused entirely on his training. Sasuke threw himself into learning techniques with an intensity that worried his instructors. He would practice for hours after classes ended, often alone in the training grounds. He studied scrolls about advanced techniques that were beyond his current level. He pushed his body to its limits repeatedly, accepting injuries as a necessary cost of progress. This obsessive training had a purpose. Every kunai throw, every jutsu practiced, every late night studying theory, all of it was in service of a single goal. Sasuke needed to become strong enough to kill Itachi. Nothing else mattered. Making friends would not help him kill Itachi. Enjoying his childhood would not help him kill Itachi. Building a future beyond revenge would not help him kill Itachi. So Sasuke discarded all of those things and focused solely on accumulating power. The academy instructors recognized Sasuke's talent immediately. He was a natural prodigy, just like his brother had been. Sasuke excelled at every aspect of shinobi training. His taijutsu, the hand-to-hand combat skills, were exceptional. His weapon accuracy was nearly perfect. His chakra control improved rapidly. His academic understanding of techniques and strategy was well beyond his classmates. By every measurable standard, Sasuke was the best student in his class. He graduated at the top of his year, just as he had planned. But this success came at a cost that was not immediately visible. Sasuke was developing a worldview that would eventually lead him to villainy. He was learning, through his own choices and focus, that strength was the only thing that mattered. He was teaching himself that bonds with other people were weaknesses or distractions. He was internalizing the idea that his pain and his revenge were more important than anything else, including the feelings or well-being of those around him. These were the thoughts of someone on a path toward becoming a villain, even if Sasuke himself did not recognize it yet. During this time, Sasuke also developed a specific way of evaluating other people that revealed his growing detachment from normal human connection. According to the series, Sasuke would assess everyone he met based on their strength. Those he perceived as weaker than himself, he would dismiss entirely. He would give them minimal attention and often treated them as if they did not exist. This included most of his classmates. Sasuke saw them as irrelevant to his goals, so he did not bother forming any relationship with them at all. Those he perceived as stronger than himself, however, received his full attention. But this attention was not about respect or admiration in a healthy sense. Sasuke fixated on strong people as obstacles to overcome or sources of power to study. He did not want to befriend them or learn from them in a collaborative way. He wanted to surpass them, to prove that he was stronger, or to take whatever they had that made them powerful. This transactional view of human relationships was another sign of his transformation from normal child to someone capable of villainy. The series makes it clear that Sasuke lived alone in the Uchiha compound during this time. The village allowed him to stay there, presumably because it was his family's property and because taking him away from it would have caused additional trauma. But living alone in that empty compound reinforced Sasuke's isolation every single day. He would come home from the academy to a house that had once been full of family and was now completely silent. He would walk through streets that had once bustled with clan members going about their daily lives and now stood empty. Every moment he spent there reminded him of what he had lost and why he needed to focus on revenge. This living situation was profoundly unhealthy for a child. Sasuke needed support, community, and connection. Instead, he had solitude and ghosts. But Sasuke chose to stay there. He chose to live surrounded by reminders of the massacre because it kept his hatred fresh and his motivation strong. He did not want to heal or move on. He wanted to remember, to hurt, and to use that pain as fuel for his training. This was a deliberate choice that showed how committed Sasuke was to his path of revenge, even at the cost of his own mental and emotional health. Throughout his academy years, there were multiple opportunities for Sasuke to choose a different path. The third Hokage checked on him occasionally and offered support. Irika, one of his academy instructors, tried to reach him. Naruto's persistent attempts at rivalry could have evolved into genuine friendship if Sasuke had allowed it. The girls who admired him represented the possibility of normal social connections. Every single one of these opportunities was a chance for Sasuke to step back from the edge and choose healing over hatred. And every single time, Sasuke rejected those opportunities. This pattern of rejection is crucial to understanding why Sasuke works as a villain. He was not forced into isolation. He chose it. He was not denied help or support. He refused it. The village did not push him toward revenge. He embraced it willingly. These choices matter because they show that Sasuke's eventual villainy was not inevitable. He had agency, and he used that agency to pursue a dark path. This makes him responsible for what he becomes, even as we understand the trauma that influenced his choices. By the time Sasuke graduated from the academy and was assigned to Team 7 with Naruto Uzumaki and Sakura Haruno under the leadership of Kakashi Hatake, he had completed his transformation from happy child to obsessed avenger. He was skilled, cold, and completely focused on his goal of killing Itachi. He saw his new teammates as obstacles or tools, not as potential friends. He saw his sensei as a source of training, not as a mentor who cared about his well-being. He saw every mission and every challenge as a step toward accumulating the power he needed for revenge. Sasuke had successfully turned himself into exactly what Itachi had told him to become. He had learned to hate. He had become stronger through that hatred. He had dedicated his entire existence to the goal of eventually killing his brother. The happy child who had loved his family was gone, buried beneath layers of trauma, anger, and deliberate isolation. In his place stood a prodigy consumed by revenge, willing to sacrifice anything and anyone to achieve his goal. The seeds of villainy had been planted by the massacre, but Sasuke himself had nurtured them, watered them with his hatred, and allowed them to grow until they dominated everything else in his life. This is why Sasuke's academy years are so important to his story as a villain. They show that villainy is not just about the bad things that happen to someone. It is about how that person responds to those bad things. Sasuke experienced terrible trauma, but he chose to respond by embracing hatred, rejecting connection, and pursuing revenge at any cost. Those choices, made repeatedly over several years, transformed him from a victim of tragedy into someone capable of truly villainous acts. He was not there yet, but the foundation had been laid. Sasuke had become someone who valued power over people, revenge over healing, and isolation over connection. Before we move on, make sure to subscribe if you're enjoying this breakdown. But even a prodigy's natural talent has limits, and when those limits became clear during the Chunin exams, Sasuke discovered something that promised to shatter them. A 2. Power that came with a terrible price, and a snake-eyed devil willing to collect. Section 3. The Curse Mark. Orochimaru's gateway drug to villainy. Sasuke's transformation from grieving child to cold avenger happened gradually over his academy years. But his descent into true villainy required something more than just trauma and isolation. It required a choice to abandon the principles that separate heroes from villains. That choice came during the Chunin exams, in a place called the Forest of Death, when a man named Orochimaru offered Sasuke exactly what he wanted most: power. Not power earned through years of training and discipline, but power given instantly through a forbidden technique. Sasuke's decision to accept that offer marked the moment when he stepped off the path of the hero and took his first real steps toward becoming a villain. The Chunin exams were a major event in the Hidden Leaf Village. Genin from various villages gathered to compete for promotion to the rank of Chunin, which is the middle tier of ninja ranking. The exams tested everything from written knowledge to combat skills to survival instincts. Team 7, consisting of Sasuke, Naruto, and Sakura under the leadership of Kakashi Hatake, entered the exams together. For Sasuke, this was another opportunity to prove his strength and move closer to his goal of eventually confronting Itachi. He approached the exams with his usual intensity and focus. The second phase of the Chunin exams took place in the Forest of Death, a dangerous training ground filled with deadly wildlife and treacherous terrain. Teams were given scrolls and told to reach a tower in the center of the forest within 5 days. They had to obtain both a Heaven Scroll and an Earth Scroll to pass, which meant teams would need to fight each other and take scrolls by force. It was designed to be difficult and dangerous. What nobody expected was that one of the most dangerous criminals in the world had infiltrated the exams disguised as a participant from the Hidden Grass Village. Orochimaru was one of the legendary Sannin, 3 ninja who had earned legendary status for their power and accomplishments. He had once been a respected member of the Hidden Leaf Village and had even been considered as a candidate for Hokage. But Orochimaru had become obsessed with learning every jutsu in existence and achieving immortality. This obsession led him to conduct forbidden experiments on human subjects. When his crimes were discovered, he fled the village and became a rogue ninja. By the time of the Chunin exams, Orochimaru had established his own hidden village, the village hidden in sound, and continued his experiments in secret. Orochimaru had learned about Sasuke Uchiha and saw in him the perfect vessel. Orochimaru's method of achieving immortality involved transferring his consciousness into new bodies when his current body began to fail. He needed young, powerful bodies with special abilities to continue his existence. Sasuke, as one of the last surviving members of the Uchiha clan with the potential to awaken the Sharingan, was exactly what Orochimaru wanted. But Orochimaru could not simply take Sasuke's body immediately. The transfer technique required preparation, and Sasuke needed to be more developed, both physically and in terms of power. Orochimaru needed to corrupt Sasuke gradually to make him willing to abandon his village and come to Orochimaru voluntarily. The cursed seal of heaven was Orochimaru's method of beginning that corruption. During the second phase of the exams, while Team 7 was moving through the Forest of Death, Orochimaru attacked them. He did not attack to kill. He attacked to test Sasuke's abilities and to deliver the curse mark. The encounter was terrifying for Team 7. Orochimaru was far beyond their level. He moved with a speed they could barely track. His techniques were powerful and strange, involving summoning giant snakes and using jutsu they had never seen before. Naruto and Sakura were completely outmatched. Sasuke initially tried to fight back, but Orochimaru's power was overwhelming. The difference in their abilities was so vast that Sasuke quickly realized they had no chance of winning. Fear took over. Sasuke, who had spent years training to become strong, who had dedicated his life to gaining power, was faced with someone so much stronger that all his training meant nothing. In that moment of terror, Sasuke froze. He could not move. He could not fight. The gap between his current strength and the strength he would need to face enemies like Orochimaru or eventually Itachi felt impossibly wide. But Orochimaru was not there to kill him. Instead, Orochimaru stretched his neck in an unnatural snake-like manner and bit Sasuke on the left side of his neck. The bite was not a simple injury. Orochimaru was using a forbidden technique to brand Sasuke with the cursed seal of heaven. The moment the seal was applied, Sasuke felt intense pain spreading from the bite mark across his body. The seal's design appeared on his neck, 3 tomoe arranged in a circular pattern, similar to the Sharingan but distinct from it. This design is called Mitsudomo in Japanese, and it became the mark of Orochimaru's influence on Sasuke. The curse mark was not just a symbol, it was a living technique that contained Orochimaru's chakra and connected Sasuke to Orochimaru's power. The series explains that Orochimaru had developed curse marks by studying a man named Jugo, who had a unique ability to absorb natural energy. Orochimaru extracted enzymes from Jugo's body and used them to create curse marks that could be applied to others. These curse marks granted increased chakra levels and physical abilities when activated, but they came with serious risks and side effects. The survival rate for receiving a curse mark was only 1 in 10. Most people who received them died during the application process because their bodies could not handle the influx of foreign chakra. Sasuke survived, which demonstrated both his natural strength and his potential value to Orochimaru. But survival was only the beginning of the curse mark's effects. After the application, Sasuke collapsed from the pain and fever that the curse mark caused. His body was fighting to adapt to the foreign chakra now coursing through him. While Sasuke was unconscious and suffering from the curse mark's effects, his teammates had to protect him. The series shows that Naruto and Sakura fought desperately to keep Sasuke safe while he was incapacitated. When Sasuke finally woke up, something had changed. The curse mark had activated for the first time. Dark markings spread across Sasuke's skin, emanating from the seal on his neck. His eyes became wild and unfocused. His movements became more aggressive and brutal. He was still Sasuke, but something else was influencing him, pushing him toward violence and cruelty. This first activation showed what the curse mark truly did. When active, it provided a massive boost to Sasuke's physical abilities and chakra reserves. He became faster, stronger, and more powerful than he had been moments before. Enemies who had been overwhelming him suddenly found themselves facing a Sasuke who could match their strength. The power was intoxicating. For someone who had spent years desperately seeking strength, the curse mark offered exactly what Sasuke wanted most. But that power came from Orochimaru's chakra, and it carried Orochimaru's influence with it. When Kakashi Hatake, Team 7's sensei, discovered what had happened to Sasuke, he immediately recognized the danger. Kakashi understood curse marks and knew what Orochimaru was trying to do. He used a technique called the evil sealing method to suppress the curse mark. This technique placed additional seals over Orochimaru's mark, preventing it from activating on its own. Kakashi explained to Sasuke that the curse mark would slowly corrupt him if he continued to use it. He warned Sasuke that Orochimaru had placed the mark on him to eventually take over his body. Most importantly, Kakashi told Sasuke that the evil sealing method would only work if Sasuke chose not to use the curse mark's power. If Sasuke deliberately activated it, the seals would break and Orochimaru's influence would grow stronger. This created a test of Sasuke's character. He now had access to incredible power through the curse mark, but using it meant accepting Orochimaru's corruption. He had been warned clearly about the dangers. His sensei had taken steps to protect him. All Sasuke needed to do was choose not to use the power Orochimaru had given him. This was a moment where Sasuke could have stepped back from the path toward villainy. He could have recognized that shortcuts to power were dangerous, and that accepting strength from a known villain would lead him to dark places. But Sasuke's desire for revenge was stronger than his caution. The turning point came during Sasuke's fight against Yoroi Akado in the preliminary rounds of the Chunin exams. Yoroi was using a technique that absorbed chakra through physical contact, which was causing problems for Sasuke. During the fight, Sasuke felt himself losing. He remembered Orochimaru's words about power. He remembered the strength he had felt when the curse mark first activated. And despite Kakashi's warnings, despite knowing the danger, Sasuke made a choice. He willingly activated the curse mark. The moment Sasuke chose to use the curse mark, the evil sealing method broke. The restraints Kakashi had placed shattered. Black markings spread across Sasuke's body from the seal on his neck. His power increased dramatically. He defeated Yoroi quickly and brutally, using the curse mark's strength to overwhelm his opponent. Kakashi watched with concern, recognizing that Sasuke had made the choice to accept Orochimaru's power. This was not something forced on Sasuke. It was a deliberate decision to use forbidden power despite the known consequences. The curse mark represented something deeper than just a power boost. It represented Sasuke's willingness to take shortcuts rather than earn strength through proper training. Throughout the series, Naruto represents the philosophy of hard work and persistence. Naruto was not naturally talented. He struggled with basic techniques, but he trained relentlessly, learning from failures and gradually becoming stronger through effort and determination. Sasuke, despite being a natural prodigy, chose the opposite path. When faced with the slow, difficult work of genuine growth, Sasuke opted for the quick power offered by Orochimaru's curse mark. This choice revealed Sasuke's true priorities. He did not care about the method of gaining power. He did not care about the source or the cost. He only cared about results. If using Orochimaru's curse mark would make him stronger, faster, then he would use it. If accepting corruption would help him reach his goal of killing Itachi, then he would accept that corruption. This is villainous thinking. Heroes care about doing things the right way, even when it is harder. Villains care only about achieving their goals, regardless of the methods required. The curse mark also had physical and psychological effects beyond the immediate power boost. The series shows that extended use of the curse mark was extremely painful and caused damage to Sasuke's body. His body would ache after using it. He would feel exhausted and drained, but more concerning was the psychological effect. Orochimaru's chakra, flowing through the curse mark, began to influence Sasuke's personality. He became more ruthless in combat. He showed less concern for the well-being of others. The empathy and connection he had occasionally shown to his teammates began to fade. Orochimaru's corrupting influence was working exactly as intended. The curse mark had a second level that was even more powerful and more corrupting than the first. This second level transformed Sasuke's appearance dramatically. His skin turned dark gray, his hair grew longer and became dark blue. His eyes turned completely dark gray. Most strikingly, he grew large webbed wings from his back that resembled giant hands. A star-shaped mark appeared across the bridge of his nose. In this form, Sasuke's power increased exponentially. He could fly using the wings. His physical abilities reached levels that put him far beyond normal genin, but maintaining this form required even more of Orochimaru's chakra, which meant even more corruption. To access the second level safely, users typically needed to take pills created by Orochimaru called Mind Awakening pills. These pills help the body adjust to the massive influx of chakra from the level 2 curse mark. Without the pills or proper preparation, attempting to use level 2 could kill the user or leave them permanently damaged. Sasuke would eventually learn to use level 2, but only after leaving the Hidden Leaf Village and training directly under Orochimaru. This showed the progressive nature of the curse mark's corruption. Each level of power required Sasuke to go deeper into Orochimaru's influence and further from his village and friends. The curse mark served Orochimaru's ultimate goal perfectly. Every time Sasuke used it, he became more dependent on Orochimaru's power. Every time he felt that strength, he wanted more of it. And every time the curse mark twisted his personality a little further, it made the idea of leaving his village and going to Orochimaru seem more acceptable. The curse mark was not just a gift of power. It was a slow-acting poison designed to corrupt Sasuke from the inside until he willingly walked into Orochimaru's hands. What makes the curse mark so important to Sasuke's villain story is that it represents his first major compromise with evil. Before this, Sasuke had been cold and obsessed with revenge, but he had not actively chosen to ally himself with villains or use forbidden techniques. The curse mark changed that. By choosing to use it despite the warnings, Sasuke demonstrated that he was willing to do whatever it took to gain power, even if it meant accepting help from one of the most dangerous criminals in the world. This was a line that heroes do not cross. Naruto would never have accepted power from Orochimaru, but Sasuke did because his desire for revenge outweighed his moral boundaries. The curse mark also highlighted the difference between Sasuke and Naruto in how they approached strength. Naruto had the nine-tailed fox sealed inside him, which was also a source of dangerous power. But Naruto spent years learning to control that power properly, to use it without being consumed by it. He trained with mentors and worked to master the fox's chakra through discipline and understanding. Sasuke, in contrast, simply used the curse mark whenever he wanted more power, accepting the corruption as a necessary price. This difference in approach showed which of them was on a hero's path and which was heading toward villainy. By accepting Orochimaru's curse mark and choosing to use it despite the known dangers, Sasuke took his first deliberate step toward becoming a villain. The massacre had given him trauma and motivation. His academy years had taught him to isolate himself and value power above connection. But the curse mark was the moment when Sasuke actively chose to ally himself with evil in pursuit of his goals. It was the moment when he demonstrated that he would compromise any principle, accept any corruption, and use any method if it brought him closer to killing Itachi. Heroes do not think this way. Villains do. Before we move on, make sure to subscribe if you're enjoying this breakdown. But the curse mark was just a taste of what Orochimaru could offer, and when the Sound Four arrived to show Sasuke the true potential of level 2 power, they brought with them an invitation that would force Sasuke to make an even darker choice, abandon his village entirely, and step fully into the world of rogues and criminals. Section 4. Defection and Betrayal, Severing Konoha's Bonds. The curse mark had given Sasuke a taste of power beyond his natural abilities, but it also created a hunger for more. Orochimaru understood this perfectly. The curse mark was never meant to be the end goal. It was bait, designed to make Sasuke crave the strength that only training directly under Orochimaru could provide. For months after receiving the curse mark, Sasuke continued his missions with Team 7, growing stronger but always feeling like it was not enough. Then came an encounter that shattered what little restraint Sasuke had left. His brother Itachi returned to the Hidden Leaf village, and in their brief confrontation, Itachi demonstrated that the gap between them had not closed at all. Sasuke was still powerless against him. This crushing defeat, combined with Orochimaru's carefully laid trap, would push Sasuke to make the choice that transformed him from a troubled ally into an enemy of his own village. Itachi's return to Konoha happened during his search for Naruto as a member of the Akatsuki organization. The Akatsuki were hunting the tailed beasts, and Naruto carried the nine-tailed fox sealed inside him. When Sasuke learned that Itachi was in the village, he abandoned everything else and went to confront him. This was what Sasuke had been training for. This was the entire purpose of his existence since the massacre. He found Itachi and immediately attacked with everything he had. Sasuke used all the techniques he had learned, activated his Sharingan, and pushed himself to his absolute limit. It was not even close to enough. Itachi defeated Sasuke effortlessly. The fight was so one-sided that it could barely be called a fight at all. Itachi blocked Sasuke's attacks casually, countered his techniques without effort, and demonstrated that despite all of Sasuke's training, he was still nothing compared to his brother. The worst moment came when Itachi used Tsukuyomi on Sasuke again, trapping him in the Genjutsu and torturing him mentally. Sasuke experienced what felt like days of pain and horror, compressed into a single moment. When the technique ended, Sasuke collapsed, completely broken mentally and physically. Kakashi and other Konoha ninja eventually rescued Sasuke and brought him to the hospital. But the physical injuries were not the worst damage. Sasuke's entire identity had been built around becoming strong enough to kill Itachi. He had dedicated years to this goal, sacrificing friendships and normal childhood experiences. He had even accepted Orochimaru's curse mark, allowing himself to be corrupted for the sake of gaining power. And after all of that, he was still completely helpless against Itachi. The realization that his years of effort had been insufficient shattered something fundamental inside Sasuke. While Sasuke lay in the hospital recovering, he had visitors. Sakura came to check on him, worried about his condition and trying to offer support. Naruto visited as well, concerned about his teammate and rival. But Sasuke barely registered their presence. He was consumed by thoughts of his own weakness and the humiliating defeat Itachi had delivered. Every moment he spent in that hospital bed felt like wasted time. Moments when he should have been training to close the gap with his brother. The frustration and rage built inside him until it felt like it would tear him apart. Then the Sound Four arrived. These were 4 elite ninja from Orochimaru's hidden sound village: Jirobo, Kidomaru, Taiyuya, and Sakon with his brother Ukon. Each of them carried Orochimaru's curse mark and had mastered the 2nd level transformation. They came to the Hidden Leaf Village with a specific mission: convince Sasuke to leave with them and join Orochimaru. They found Sasuke alone on the hospital roof, still recovering from his injuries, but unable to rest because of his torment over his weakness. The Sound Four did not need to argue with words. They demonstrated their power instead. One by one, they activated their level 2 curse marks, showing Sasuke the transformations and abilities that came with fully mastering Orochimaru's gift. Jirobo's skin turned dark red, and he grew significantly larger and stronger. Kidomaru sprouted additional arms and displayed incredible physical abilities. Taiyuya showed her command over powerful summoning techniques. Sakon and Ukon demonstrated their unique ability to merge and separate their bodies. Each transformation was grotesque and inhuman, but each also represented power far beyond what normal ninja possessed. Watching these transformations had a profound effect on Sasuke. Here were 4 people who had been in the same position he was in now. They had received Orochimaru's curse mark. They had trained under Orochimaru directly. And now they possessed strength that put them well beyond ordinary ninja. They were proof that Orochimaru could deliver on his promise of power. They showed Sasuke a path to becoming strong enough to face Itachi. And that path led away from the Hidden Leaf Village and into Orochimaru's service. The Sound Four delivered Orochimaru's message. If Sasuke wanted real power, the kind that could let him face Itachi as an equal, he needed to leave Konoha and train with Orochimaru directly. The curse mark was only the beginning. True strength required abandoning the village that had failed to make him strong enough. The choice was presented clearly: stay in Konoha and remain weak, or come with them and gain the power he needed for revenge. For Sasuke, still reeling from his defeat and consumed by his obsession with killing Itachi, this felt less like a choice and more like an obvious necessity. Sasuke made his decision. He would leave the Hidden Leaf Village and go to Orochimaru. This was not a choice made in a moment of panic or confusion. Sasuke had time to think about it. He understood what he was doing. He knew he was betraying his village, abandoning his teammates, and walking away from everyone who cared about him. He knew he was choosing to ally himself with a known criminal and traitor who wanted to eventually take over his body. Sasuke understood all of this, and he chose to leave anyway because his desire for revenge was more important to him than loyalty, friendship, or even his own safety. The night Sasuke left, he stopped to say goodbye to Sakura. She had somehow learned of his plan and intercepted him at the village gates. Sakura begged him to stay. She confessed her feelings for him openly, something she had been too shy to do before. She offered to go with him if that was what it took. She told him she would do anything if he would just stay in the village. Sakura's desperation was genuine and heartbreaking. She cared about Sasuke deeply and could see that the path he was choosing would destroy him. Sasuke's response revealed how far he had already fallen. He appeared behind Sakura and said a single word, "Thank you." Then he knocked her unconscious with a precise strike, leaving her sleeping on a bench near the gates. He did not argue with her. He did not try to explain his choice. He simply removed her as an obstacle and continued on his way. This cold, clinical dismissal of someone who genuinely cared about him showed that Sasuke had already emotionally severed his bonds with his teammates. Sakura's feelings, her tears, her desperate pleas, none of it mattered more than his revenge. The Hidden Leaf Village learned of Sasuke's defection and immediately sent a team to retrieve him. Shikamaru Nara led a group consisting of Naruto, Kiba, Choji, and Neji. Their mission was to catch up to Sasuke before he reached Orochimaru's territory and bring him back to the village. This created a chase sequence where each of the Sound Four fought against members of the retrieval team. These battles were desperate and brutal, with the Konoha ninja fighting not just to complete their mission, but to save their friend from making a terrible mistake. Naruto pushed ahead, determined to reach Sasuke personally. He caught up to him at a place called the Valley of the End, a massive waterfall with two enormous statues carved into the cliff faces on either side. These statues depicted Hashirama Senju and Madara Uchiha, the founders of Konoha who had once fought at this very location. The symbolism was clear. Just as those two legendary ninja had fought as former friends turned enemies, Naruto and Sasuke were about to do the same. Naruto tried to reason with Sasuke first. He asked Sasuke why he was doing this. He reminded Sasuke of their time together as teammates. He tried to make Sasuke understand that leaving the village would not make him stronger. It would just make him Orochimaru's tool. But Sasuke was beyond reasoning. He saw Naruto as the final obstacle between himself and the power he needed. More than that, Sasuke had convinced himself that to truly gain strength, he needed to sever all his bonds, and Naruto represented his strongest remaining bond. The battle that followed was intense and personal. Both fighters used everything they had. Naruto summoned shadow clones and used the Rasengan, a powerful technique he had recently learned. Sasuke activated his curse mark and used Chidori, his signature lightning technique. The fight escalated as both drew on deeper wells of power. Naruto began to access the nine-tailed fox's chakra, entering a one-tailed transformation that granted him incredible speed and strength, but also made him more violent and uncontrolled. Sasuke activated the second level of his curse mark, growing his wings and entering the transformed state he had seen the Sound Four use. The final clash came when both fighters charged at each other with their strongest techniques. Naruto's Rasengan, enhanced by the Nine Tails chakra and appearing dark red, met Sasuke's Chidori, enhanced by the curse mark and crackling with black lightning. The two attacks collided in the center of the valley, creating an explosion of energy that tore apart the landscape around them. When the dust settled, both ninja were badly injured and exhausted. But Sasuke was still standing, and Naruto was down. Sasuke had won the fight. He stood over Naruto's unconscious body, breathing heavily, his curse mark still active. This was the moment that truly defined what kind of person Sasuke was becoming. According to everything Itachi had told him, to awaken the Mangekyo Sharingan, Sasuke needed to kill his closest friend. Naruto was lying helpless before him. Sasuke had the opportunity to kill Naruto, gain the Mangekyo Sharingan, and take a massive step toward the power he needed to face Itachi. All he had to do was finish what he had started. Sasuke raised his hand, preparing to deliver the killing blow. The series shows this moment in detail, with Sasuke's hands surrounded by lightning chakra, ready to pierce through Naruto's chest. For a long moment, Sasuke stood there, on the edge of committing murder. But then, something stopped him. In that moment, Sasuke realized something important. He realized that Naruto genuinely cared about him. Naruto had not come to the Valley of the End to stop an enemy. He had come to save a friend. Naruto's determination to bring Sasuke back was not about duty or orders. It was about genuine friendship and concern. This realization made Sasuke understand that killing Naruto would mean following Itachi's path exactly as Itachi had laid it out. It would mean doing exactly what Itachi wanted him to do. And Sasuke, despite his obsession with revenge, did not want to give Itachi that satisfaction. He did not want to become strong by following Itachi's instructions. He wanted to become strong his own way, even if that way was twisted and dark. So Sasuke made a choice. He would not kill Naruto. He would find another path to power, one that did not require him to murder his closest friend. Instead of killing Naruto, Sasuke struck Naruto's forehead protector, the headband that marked him as a ninja of the Hidden Leaf Village. The attack scratched through the metal plate, leaving a visible mark, but not hurting Naruto himself. It was a symbolic gesture. Sasuke was rejecting the village and everything it represented, but he was not willing to cross the line into murdering his friend. This moment showed that despite everything, some part of the original Sasuke still existed beneath the layers of hatred and obsession. But that small mercy did not change Sasuke's ultimate decision. He still left. Even after realizing that Naruto cared about him, even after choosing not to kill him, Sasuke continued on his path to Orochimaru. He met up with the Sound Four survivors and traveled with them to Orochimaru's hideout. The Sound Four placed Sasuke in a large barrel filled with a special fluid that would help his body adjust to the curse mark's power during the journey. Sasuke willingly climbed into this barrel and allowed himself to be transported like cargo, accepting this humiliation because it was part of the process of gaining power. When Sasuke emerged from the barrel at Orochimaru's hideout, his transformation was complete in a symbolic sense. He had left the Hidden Leaf Village as a genin. He arrived at Orochimaru's base as a missing nin, a rogue ninja who had abandoned his village and was now branded as a traitor. The Hidden Leaf Village officially listed Sasuke Uchiha as a criminal. Every ninja from Konoha who encountered him would now be authorized to capture or kill him. His friends had become his enemies by law. His home village had become enemy territory. All of this was the direct result of Sasuke's choice to pursue power through Orochimaru rather than stay and grow stronger through proper training and bonds with his teammates. Sasuke spent the next 3 years training directly under Orochimaru. The series does not show most of this training period in detail, but we know several important facts about what happened during this time. Sasuke learned numerous forbidden techniques that Orochimaru taught him. He gained complete mastery over his curse mark, learning to activate and deactivate it at will and to control the level 2 transformation without losing himself to its power. He studied various forms of jutsu, expanding his abilities far beyond what he had known as a genin in Konoha. His physical conditioning improved dramatically. By every measurable standard, Sasuke became much stronger during these 3 years. But this growth came at a terrible cost. Sasuke was isolating himself even further from normal human connection. He was training under a man who wanted to steal his body. He was learning techniques that were forbidden because of how dangerous and immoral they were. He was allowing Orochimaru's chakra to flow through him daily through the curse mark, slowly corrupting his personality and making him more ruthless and cold. The Sasuke who had once protected his teammates and shown moments of genuine care was being eroded away, replaced by someone who saw other people only as obstacles or tools. Orochimaru's influence during this period was profound and deliberate. Orochimaru was not just teaching Sasuke techniques. He was molding Sasuke's worldview to align with his own twisted philosophy. Orochimaru believed that power was the only thing that mattered, that bonds were weaknesses, and that morality was an obstacle to true strength. He reinforced these ideas in Sasuke constantly. Every lesson, every training session, every conversation was designed to push Sasuke further from the values of Konoha and deeper into Orochimaru's darkness. Sasuke's defection from the Hidden Leaf Village was the moment when he crossed from being a troubled hero into being an active villain. Before this, Sasuke had made questionable choices, but he was still technically on the side of good. He was still a Konoha ninja, completing missions and protecting his village. After the defection, he was a criminal and a traitor. He had chosen to ally himself with one of the most dangerous villains in the world. He had abandoned everyone who cared about him. He had rejected the possibility of healing or redemption in favor of pursuing revenge at any cost. What makes this defection so important to Sasuke's story as a villain is that it was entirely his choice. Nobody forced him to leave. The village did not exile him. His teammates did not betray him. Orochimaru made an offer, but Sasuke could have refused. He had every opportunity to stay and find another path to strength. Kakashi would have trained him more intensively if Sasuke had asked. The village had resources and teachers who could have helped him grow. Naruto's example showed that it was possible to become incredibly strong through hard work and bonds, rather than shortcuts and corruption. But Sasuke rejected all of that, because he wanted power immediately, and he did not care about the cost. The defection also marked the point where Sasuke's teammates had to accept that he was no longer on their side. For years afterward, Naruto would continue to believe that Sasuke could be saved and brought back to the village. Sakura would hold on to hope that Sasuke would return. But the reality was that Sasuke had made a clear choice to become their enemy. He had looked Naruto in the eye at the Valley of the End, understood that Naruto cared about him, and still chosen to leave. That choice revealed where Sasuke's true priorities lay, and those priorities were not friendship, loyalty, or doing what was right. His priority was revenge, and he would sacrifice anything to achieve it. Before we move on, make sure to subscribe if you're enjoying this breakdown. During those 3 years with Orochimaru, Sasuke did not just learn forbidden techniques and master his curse mark, he also unlocked the dark potential of his Sharingan through a path paved with loss and suffering, transforming his eyes into weapons that would terrify even the world's strongest shinobi. Section 5. The Sharingan's Dark Evolution. Power through Loss. The Sharingan is the bloodline limit of the Uchiha clan, a powerful eye technique that grants its user enhanced perception, the ability to copy techniques, and various special abilities, depending on how far it evolves. In the hands of most Uchiha, it is simply a valuable tool that makes them formidable ninja. But in Sasuke's hands, the Sharingan became something more sinister. Every evolution of his eyes came through trauma, loss, or sacrifice. Each new level of power required Sasuke to suffer or to embrace darkness. His journey from basic Sharingan to the legendary Rinnegan was not a story of heroic growth. It was a chronicle of how power built on pain and hatred can transform someone into a villain, even as it makes them stronger. The Sharingan first awakened in Sasuke on the night of the Uchiha massacre. He was 7 years old, standing in his family home, staring at Itachi after witnessing the death of his parents. The emotional trauma of that moment was so intense that it triggered the awakening of his bloodline limit. His eyes changed, developing the characteristic red color and the single tomoe design that marked the most basic form of the Sharingan. In this moment of pure terror and grief, Sasuke's body responded by granting him power. But the trauma was so overwhelming that Sasuke's mind could not handle it. He forgot that the Sharingan had awakened. He forgot pursuing Itachi and attacking him. His consciousness suppressed these memories to protect itself from complete breakdown. For years afterward, Sasuke did not remember awakening his Sharingan that night. He trained at the academy believing he had not yet unlocked his clan's bloodline limit. He worked to become strong enough to awaken it properly, not knowing it had already happened once before. This meant that when the Sharingan awakened again during the Land of Waves arc, Sasuke experienced it as if it were the first time. Team 7 was fighting against a rogue ninja named Zabuza Momochi and his apprentice Haku. During the battle, Haku trapped Sasuke in a technique called the Crystal Ice Mirrors, attacking from multiple angles with Senbon needles at incredible speed. Sasuke could not track Haku's movements with his normal vision. The attacks were too fast, coming from too many directions at once. Sasuke was being hit repeatedly, unable to defend himself properly. The frustration and desperation of being unable to protect himself and his teammates triggered something inside him. His eyes changed, turning red, with a single black tomo in each eye. The Sharingan had reawakened. With it came enhanced perception that allowed Sasuke to track movements he could not follow before. He could see Haku's attacks coming and respond to them. The Sharingan gave him the ability to fight back against an opponent who had been overwhelming him moments before. This first conscious awakening of the Sharingan established a pattern that would repeat throughout Sasuke's life. The Sharingan evolved through combat, through being pushed to his limits, through experiencing intense emotions in life or death situations. It was not a power that came from peace or happiness. It required stress, danger, and emotional intensity. For Sasuke, who was already obsessed with gaining strength, this created an incentive to constantly put himself in dangerous situations. The more he fought, the more his Sharingan would develop. The more he pushed himself to the edge, the stronger his eyes would become. The Sharingan continued evolving during the Chunin exams. Through various battles and challenges, Sasuke's eyes developed a second tomoe in each eye. This represented increased power and enhanced abilities. With 2 tomo, his perception became even sharper. His ability to read movements improved. He could copy techniques more effectively. Each tomo represented a step toward the mature Sharingan, the 3-tomo version that was considered the standard form of the bloodline limit. But reaching that level required even more intense experience. The 3-tomo Sharingan awakened during Sasuke's battle with Naruto at the Valley of the End. This fight was the most intense emotional experience Sasuke had faced since the massacre itself. He was fighting his closest friend, someone he had developed genuine bonds with despite trying to remain isolated. The conflict between his desire to sever all connections and the reality of his friendship with Naruto created massive internal stress. Combined with the physical intensity of the battle and the desperation to win so he could continue to Orochimaru, this pushed Sasuke's Sharingan to its mature form. With 3 tomoe in each eye, Sasuke now possessed the complete basic Sharingan. He could predict movements with incredible accuracy. He could copy almost any technique he witnessed as long as it did not require a bloodline limit he did not possess. He could cast powerful genjutsu to trap enemies in illusions. His perception was so enhanced that he could see chakra flow and track objects moving at speeds that normal humans could not follow. The 3 tomoe Sharingan made Sasuke a significantly more dangerous fighter, but it also represented the limit of normal Sharingan evolution. To go beyond this point required something far more terrible. The Mangekyo Sharingan is a legendary evolution of the Sharingan that very few Uchiha ever achieved. According to the series, the Mangekyo awakens when an Uchiha experiences the death of someone extremely close to them. The emotional trauma of losing someone they love triggers a change in their eyes that unlocks entirely new abilities. For most of the Uchiha clan's history, they believed you had to kill the person yourself to awaken the Mangekyo. This belief led to terrible acts as Uchiha killed their friends or loved ones in pursuit of power. The truth was darker in some ways. You did not need to kill them yourself. You simply needed to experience genuine grief at their loss. Sasuke awakened his Mangekyo Sharingan after killing Itachi, but the awakening did not happen immediately after the battle. It happened after Sasuke learned the truth about why Itachi had killed the clan. When Obito, who was posing as Madara Uchiha at the time, told Sasuke that Itachi had massacred their family under orders from Konoha's leadership to prevent a coup, everything Sasuke thought he knew shattered. He learned that Itachi had killed everyone to save his life specifically. He learned that Itachi had lived as a villain and died by Sasuke's hand to make Sasuke a hero. The grief, guilt, and rage that came from this revelation triggered the awakening of the Mangekyo Sharingan. Sasuke's Mangekyo design was unique to him. The pattern showed 3 intersecting ellipses, creating a design that looked different from Itachi's or any other Mangekyo user. This design was not just cosmetic. Each Mangekyo Sharingan granted unique abilities specific to that user's eyes. Sasuke's left eye granted him Amaterasu, the same technique his brother had possessed. Amaterasu created black flames that were said to burn as hot as the sun itself. These flames would continue burning for 7 days and 7 nights until they completely consumed their target. They could not be extinguished by normal means. Water could not put them out. Wind could not blow them away. They simply burned until nothing remained. Sasuke's right eye granted him Kagutsuchi, a technique that allowed him to control and shape the Amaterasu flames. While Itachi could only create the black flames, Sasuke could manipulate them after creation. He could shape them into weapons like spears and swords. He could use them as defensive barriers. He could control their intensity and spread. This made Sasuke actually more versatile with Amaterasu than his brother had been, despite Itachi being the original user of the technique. The combination of creation and control made Sasuke extremely dangerous in combat. Both of these abilities came at a severe cost. Using the Mangekyo Sharingan drained enormous amounts of chakra. The techniques were powerful, but exhausting. Worse, every time Sasuke used his Mangekyo abilities, his vision deteriorated slightly. This was the curse of the Mangekyo Sharingan. The more you used it, the more your eyesight faded. Eventually, continued use would lead to complete blindness. The power that made you incredibly strong would eventually take away your sight entirely if you relied on it too heavily. For someone like Sasuke, who had just gained this power and intended to use it to pursue his revenge, this limitation was unacceptable. There was one way to avoid this curse. The eternal Mangekyo Sharingan could be achieved by transplanting the Mangekyo eyes of a close blood relative, ideally a sibling. This would combine the power of both sets of eyes, creating a permanent Mangekyo that did not cause blindness with use. The chakra drain would be reduced significantly. The power of the techniques would increase. It was the ultimate form of the Sharingan that only a handful of Uchiha in history had ever possessed. And Sasuke had access to it because Itachi's eyes were available after his death. Initially, Sasuke refused to take Itachi's eyes. Even though his vision was deteriorating rapidly from overusing his Mangekyo, Sasuke did not want to follow the path that seemed laid out for him. Taking Itachi's eyes felt like admitting he could not achieve power on his own. It felt like accepting another gift from the brother who had manipulated his entire life. Sasuke wanted to find strength through his own means, not by literally taking his brother's power. But as his eyesight continued to fade and the demands of battle increased, Sasuke eventually accepted the necessity of the transplant. Obito performed the surgery to transplant Itachi's eyes into Sasuke's eye sockets. When Sasuke awakened with his new eyes, the design had changed. His eternal Mangekyo Sharingan showed a pattern that combined elements of both his original Mangekyo and Itachi's design. The 3 intersecting ellipses remained, but they had merged with Itachi's straight-edged pattern to create something new. This visual change represented the fusion of their powers. Sasuke retained all his original Mangekyo abilities, but could now use them without fear of going blind. The Eternal Mangekyo also granted him access to enhanced versions of his techniques and dramatically increased his overall power. With the Eternal Mangekyo, Sasuke could use a technique called Susanoo. This was available to any Mangekyo user who had awakened the power in both eyes, but it became far more powerful and stable with the eternal version. Susanoo created a massive humanoid avatar made of chakra that surrounded and protected the user. It started as a skeletal ribcage, but could be developed into a complete warrior with armor and weapons. Sasuke's Susanoo was purple and wielded a bow that could fire arrows at incredible speeds. He could also coat the Susanoo in Amaterasu flames, making it burn anyone who came into contact with it. The Susanoo was one of the most powerful defensive techniques in existence. Attacks that would kill a normal person simply hit the Susanoo instead, leaving the user protected inside. But it was also an incredible offensive weapon. The Susanoo's strength was immense, capable of destroying landscapes and cutting through almost any defense. With the Eternal Mangekyo, Sasuke could maintain the Susanoo for extended periods without the crippling pain and exhaustion that plagued users of the regular Mangekyo. This made him a threat to even the strongest ninja in the world. But the Sharingan's evolution did not stop there. During the Fourth Shinobi World War, Sasuke had an encounter with the spirit of Hagoromo Otsutsuki, known as the Sage of Six Paths. Hagoromo was the legendary figure who had founded the shinobi world and possessed godlike powers. He chose to grant a portion of his power to both Sasuke and Naruto, seeing them as the reincarnations of his sons, Indra and Asura. When Hagoromo's chakra entered Sasuke, it triggered one final evolution of his left eye. The Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan transformed into a Rinnegan. The Rinnegan is considered the most powerful of all eye techniques, surpassing both the Sharingan and the Byakugan. It granted Sasuke abilities that went beyond anything the Sharingan could do. He could see chakra in all its forms. He could perceive invisible targets. He gained access to space-time techniques that allowed him to swap positions with objects instantly. He could control gravitational forces. The Rinnegan made Sasuke powerful enough to fight against enemies who possessed abilities comparable to gods. His right eye remained an Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, meaning he retained all his previous Sharingan abilities while adding the Rinnegan's powers in his left eye. Every evolution of Sasuke's eyes came through suffering or darkness. The initial awakening happened during the massacre. The reawakening came from combat stress. The development of each Tomei required dangerous battles. The Mangekyo required the death of his brother and the shattering revelation of the truth. The Eternal Mangekyo required taking his dead brother's eyes. The Rinnegan came from accepting power from an ancient spirit during a war. None of these evolutions came from peace, happiness, or healthy growth. They all required trauma, violence, loss, or moral compromise. This pattern reveals something important about Sasuke's path to villainy. His power was literally built on suffering and darkness. Every time he became stronger, it was because something terrible had happened, or because he had made a choice that pushed him further from the light. The Sharingan was supposed to be a gift from his bloodline, a tool to protect what he cared about. Instead, it became a chronicle of everything he had lost and everything he had sacrificed in pursuit of revenge. Each evolution made him more dangerous, but it also represented another step away from the person he could have been. Before we move on, make sure to subscribe if you're enjoying this breakdown. But all this power, all these evolutions built on loss and suffering, meant nothing when Sasuke finally achieved his life's goal and killed Itachi. Because the truth. Waiting on the other side of that victory would not set him free. It would only redirect his rage toward new targets and push him into even darker territory. Section 6. The Truth That Shattered Everything. Itachi's Sacrifice. For most villains, learning that someone they hated was actually protecting them would lead to redemption. It would make them realize their mistakes, abandon their path of revenge, and seek to honor that sacrifice by becoming better. But Sasuke Uchiha was not most villains. When he finally learned the truth about why Itachi killed the Uchiha clan, it did not make him stop seeking revenge. It simply gave him new targets. The revelation that Itachi had sacrificed everything to protect him should have been the moment Sasuke stepped back from darkness and chose a different path. Instead, it became the moment when Sasuke fully embraced villainy, redirecting all his rage and hatred toward destroying the village Itachi had died protecting. This paradox, this complete inversion of what should have happened, is what makes Sasuke such a compelling and tragic villain. Sasuke's battle with Itachi was the culmination of years of training and obsession. After leaving Konoha and spending 3 years with Orochimaru, Sasuke had grown immensely powerful. He had mastered the curse mark, learned forbidden techniques, and developed his Sharingan to 3 Tomoe. When he finally found Itachi and challenged him, Sasuke was ready. The fight was intense and showcased everything both brothers had learned. Sasuke used every technique in his arsenal, pushing himself beyond his limits. Itachi responded with the legendary techniques of the Mangekyo Sharingan, including Amaterasu and Tsukuyomi. The battle pushed both brothers to their absolute extremes. Sasuke activated the level 2 curse mark, transforming into his winged state to match Itachi's power. Itachi used his Susanoo, the ultimate Mangekyo technique that created a massive chakra warrior to protect him. The fight seemed to be going in Itachi's favor for much of the battle. He appeared to be toying with Sasuke, testing him, pushing him to reveal more of his abilities. But as the fight continued, something became clear. Itachi was not fighting at full strength. He was coughing blood. His movements were slowing. He was dying. What Sasuke did not know was that Itachi had been terminally ill for years. Some unnamed disease was slowly killing him, and the stress of using his Mangekyo Sharingan repeatedly had accelerated its progression. Itachi had been dying throughout the entire fight. He was not trying to kill Sasuke. He was trying to draw out Orochimaru's influence from Sasuke's curse mark and free him from that corruption. When Sasuke ran out of chakra and seemed defeated, Orochimaru's consciousness emerged from the curse mark, attempting to take over Sasuke's exhausted body. Itachi immediately sealed Orochimaru away using a technique called the Sword of Totsuka, wielded by his Susanoo. With Orochimaru sealed and Sasuke freed from that influence, Itachi had accomplished his final goal. He had pushed Sasuke to awaken stronger abilities, removed Orochimaru's hold on him, and given Sasuke the opportunity to become the hero of the Uchiha, who avenged the clan by killing the traitor. Itachi walked toward Sasuke slowly, his body failing. He reached out and poked Sasuke's forehead one final time, just as he had done when they were children. Then Itachi smiled, spoke his last words, telling Sasuke he had always loved him, and died standing up, falling forward toward his brother. Sasuke had won. He had achieved the goal he had dedicated his entire life to since age 7. Itachi was dead, killed in battle by Sasuke's hand, just as Sasuke had always planned. But the victory felt hollow. Sasuke collapsed from exhaustion, his body and chakra completely depleted. He passed out, surrounded by the destruction of their battle, having finally accomplished his revenge, but feeling no satisfaction from it. When Sasuke woke up, he was no longer at the battle site. He had been moved, and someone was waiting to speak with him. Obito Uchiha, who was posing as Madara Uchiha and wearing an orange spiral mask, had taken Sasuke to a secure location. Obito was a former member of the Uchiha clan who had his own twisted goals and motivations. He had helped Itachi carry out the massacre years ago, and he knew the full truth behind what had happened that night. Obito had his own reasons for wanting Sasuke to know this truth. He needed Sasuke as an ally, and the best way to turn Sasuke against Konoha was to reveal the village's role in the massacre. Obito told Sasuke everything. He explained that the Uchiha clan had been planning a coup d'etat against Konoha's leadership. The clan felt marginalized and disrespected despite their power and contributions to the village. They were planning to overthrow the Hokage and take control of the village by force. The village leadership learned of this plot and faced an impossible choice. If they allowed the coup to proceed, it would lead to civil war that would destroy Konoha and likely result in the deaths of everyone involved, including all the Uchiha. If they acted first to stop the coup, it would still mean conflict and death. Danzo Shimura, an elder who led a secret organization called Root, made the decision. He approached Itachi, who was serving in the Anbu Black Ops and was already conflicted about the coup. Danzo presented Itachi with two options. Itachi could side with his clan in the coup, which would lead to civil war and the eventual deaths of everyone, including Sasuke. Or Itachi could help eliminate the Uchiha clan before the coup began, and in exchange, Danzo would allow Sasuke to live. Itachi would have to kill everyone else, including his own parents, but Sasuke would be spared and protected. Itachi chose to save Sasuke. He agreed to Danzo's terms and carried out the massacre with Obito's assistance. Itachi killed his entire clan, including his mother and father. He spared only Sasuke as promised. Then Itachi left the village and joined the Akatsuki, a criminal organization. But his membership in Akatsuki was actually a cover. Itachi was acting as a spy for Konoha, monitoring the organization from within and reporting back to the third Hokage. He also threatened Danzo, warning that if anything happened to Sasuke, Itachi would reveal all of Konoha's secrets to enemy villages. Everything Itachi had done, every cruel word he had spoken to Sasuke, every moment of pain he had inflicted, was designed to accomplish two goals. First, he wanted Sasuke to become strong by channeling his hatred into training. Second, he wanted Sasuke to be seen as a hero who avenged the Uchiha clan by killing the traitor who massacred them. Itachi had lived as a villain, so Sasuke could be celebrated as a hero. He had died by Sasuke's hand intentionally, allowing himself to be killed when he could have won the fight. The disease was killing him anyway, so he chose to die in a way that would benefit Sasuke the most. As Obito explained all of this, Sasuke's entire worldview shattered. Everything he had believed for over a decade was based on lies. Itachi had not killed the clan to test his power. Itachi had done it to save Sasuke's life. Itachi had not stopped loving him. Itachi had loved him so much that he was willing to live as the most hated person in Sasuke's life and die by his hand. The brother Sasuke had spent years training to kill had actually been protecting him from the shadows the entire time. The revenge Sasuke had finally achieved was exactly what Itachi had wanted him to have. The emotional impact of this revelation was catastrophic. Sasuke had built his entire identity around hating Itachi and seeking revenge. Now he learned that Itachi deserved his love and gratitude, not his hatred. The years of obsessive training, the abandonment of his friends, the betrayal of his village, the alliance with Orochimaru, all of it had been based on a fundamental misunderstanding. Sasuke had destroyed his own life, chasing a goal that was built on deception. The grief and guilt were overwhelming. This grief triggered the awakening of Sasuke's Mangekyo Sharingan. His eyes evolved beyond the three Tomoe Sharingan into the legendary form that only awakened through the death of someone deeply loved. The awakening happened because Sasuke finally understood how much Itachi had loved him, and that understanding came too late. Itachi was already dead. Sasuke could never apologize or thank him. He could never tell Itachi that he finally understood. All Sasuke had left was the power of the Mangekyo and the crushing weight of truth he wished he had never learned. For most people, this revelation would lead to profound change. Learning that your brother sacrificed everything for you would inspire you to honor that sacrifice by living well and protecting what he died for. It would make you want to become the hero he believed you could be. But Sasuke's mind did not process the truth that way. Instead of feeling grateful or inspired, Sasuke felt rage. Instead of honoring Itachi's sacrifice, Sasuke decided it was unacceptable. And instead of protecting Konoha as Itachi had wanted, Sasuke vowed to destroy it. Sasuke's reasoning revealed how twisted his thinking had become. He decided that Itachi's sacrifice was a tragedy that should never have happened. Itachi should not have had to kill his family and live as a villain. Itachi should not have been put in a position where he had to choose between his clan and his brother. The fact that Konoha's leadership had forced Itachi into that impossible situation made them responsible for everything. In Sasuke's mind, Danzo and the others who ordered the massacre were the true villains, and they needed to be punished. This logic had some validity. Danzo and the village leadership did share responsibility for the massacre. Their decisions had created the situation that led to Itachi's choice. But Sasuke's response went far beyond justice. He did not want to punish the individuals responsible through legal means. He did not want reform or accountability. He wanted complete destruction. Sasuke declared that he would destroy the entire Hidden Leaf village to avenge Itachi's suffering. Every person in Konoha, guilty or innocent, would pay for what had been done to his brother. This decision marked Sasuke's full transformation into a villain. Before learning the truth, Sasuke had been pursuing personal revenge against someone he believed deserved to die. That was dark, but at least somewhat understandable. After learning the truth, Sasuke was planning mass murder of innocent people to avenge someone who had explicitly sacrificed himself to protect those same people. Sasuke was literally planning to destroy everything Itachi had died to preserve. This was not justice. This was not honor. This was villainy, pure and simple. Sasuke renamed his team from Hebi, which means snake, to Taka, which means hawk. This name change symbolized his new mission. The team's goal was no longer just to find and kill Itachi. Now they would hunt down everyone responsible for forcing Itachi's choice, starting with Danzo. Sasuke's team members, Suigetsu, Karin, and Jugo, went along with this new mission, though they were beginning to have doubts about Sasuke's increasingly extreme behavior and goals. What makes this moment so crucial to Sasuke's villain story is that it represents a complete perversion of what should have been a redemptive revelation. Learning that Itachi loved him should have saved Sasuke. Instead, it pushed him deeper into darkness. The truth should have made Sasuke want to honor his brother's wishes and protect Konoha. Instead, it made him want to destroy the village. Sasuke took a sacrifice made out of love and twisted it into justification for mass murder. This inversion is what makes him such a compelling villain. He took something good and pure, his brother's love, and weaponized it into hatred. The truth about Itachi also revealed something important about Sasuke's character. He was not actually motivated by justice or doing what was right. He was motivated by his own pain and his refusal to accept that pain. Itachi had made peace with his terrible choice because he believed it was necessary to prevent greater suffering. Itachi had carried that burden alone and never blamed anyone for putting him in that position. But Sasuke could not accept that his brother had suffered. He could not find peace with the sacrifice. So instead of honoring it, he decided to make everyone else suffer as much as Itachi had. This reaction shows that Sasuke had learned all the wrong lessons from his experiences. The massacre should have taught him the cost of hatred and revenge. Itachi's sacrifice should have taught him the value of protecting others, even at personal cost. The truth should have taught him that the world is complex, and that sometimes there are no good choices, only less terrible ones. But Sasuke rejected all of these lessons. He clung to his hatred because it was easier than accepting the painful reality that sometimes terrible things happen for complicated reasons that have no satisfying villains to blame. Before we move on, make sure to subscribe if you're enjoying this breakdown. With his new target identified and his rage refocused, Sasuke was no longer content to hunt individuals in the shadows. He would make his declaration of war against Konoha on the world stage, attacking the 5 Kage Summit itself, and announcing to every nation that Sasuke Uchiha had become a threat to global peace. Section 7. 5 Kage Summit, the Declaration of War. Until the Five Kage Summit arc, Sasuke's villainy had been somewhat personal and small in scale. He had betrayed his village and pursued revenge, but his actions primarily affected himself and those immediately around him. He was a rogue ninja, but not yet a threat to the entire shinobi world. That changed when Sasuke attacked the Five Kage Summit. In a single bold move, he transformed himself from a village traitor into an international terrorist. He fought against the leaders of all 5 major ninja villages. He injured allies and enemies alike without hesitation. He abandoned his own teammates to save himself, and through it all, he showed no remorse, no doubt, and no humanity. The Five Kage Summit represents Sasuke at his most villainous, the moment when he fully embraced darkness and announced to the world that he was willing to burn it all down for his revenge. After learning the truth about Itachi and vowing to destroy Konoha, Sasuke needed resources and support. He formed a temporary alliance with the Akatsuki organization. The Akatsuki were collecting the tailed beasts, the powerful chakra entities sealed inside specific people called Jinchuriki. Sasuke did not care about the Akatsuki's goals. He simply wanted to use their resources and intelligence network to locate his targets. The Akatsuki, for their part, were short on members and needed powerful allies. Obito, who was leading the organization while posing as Madara Uchiha, agreed to let Sasuke and his team join temporarily. The Akatsuki gave Sasuke his first major mission. They sent him to capture Killer Bee, the Jinchuriki of the Eight Tails Beast. Killer Bee was from the Hidden Cloud Village and was the younger brother of the 4th Raikage, the village's leader. He was known as a master swordsman and a rapper who constantly spoke in rhymes. More importantly, he was a perfect Jinchuriki, meaning he had complete control over the Eight Tails power and could access it freely. This made him an extremely dangerous opponent, far beyond most ninja in strength and ability. Sasuke and his team, consisting of Suigetsu, Karin, and Jugo, found Killer Bee and engaged him in battle. The fight was difficult. Killer Bee demonstrated incredible skill with his unique sword style, wielding multiple blades simultaneously. He also accessed the Eight Tails chakra, transforming partially into the beast and overwhelming Sasuke's team with raw power. Sasuke was forced to use his Mangekyo Sharingan and Amaterasu to turn the tide. He caught Killer Bee with the black flames, and the Eight Tails Jinchuriki collapsed, seemingly defeated and captured. Sasuke's team brought what they believed was Killer Bee's unconscious body back to the Akatsuki. They thought they had successfully completed their mission, but Killer Bee had actually used a substitution technique at the last moment, replacing himself with one of the Eight Tails' severed tentacles. The real Killer Bee escaped while Sasuke and the Akatsuki believed they had captured him. When the truth was discovered, it created a major problem. The Hidden Cloud Village learned that Sasuke Uchiha, a rogue ninja from the Hidden Leaf Village, had attacked their Jinchuriki. This attack on a village's Jinchuriki was considered an act of war. The 4th Raikage was furious. His younger brother had been attacked by a Leaf Village ninja, even if that ninja was a rogue. The Raikage sent word to Konoha demanding action. He wanted Sasuke hunted down and executed. The Hidden Cloud Village was prepared to go to war over this incident. Other villages also became concerned. The Akatsuki were becoming more active and more dangerous. A summit of all 5 Kage was called to discuss how to handle both the Akatsuki threat and the problem of Sasuke Uchiha specifically. The 5 Kage Summit was held in the Land of Iron, a neutral country ruled by samurai rather than ninja. The location was chosen because it was considered safe and impartial ground. The 5 leaders attending were the 4th Raikage from the Hidden Cloud Village, Gaara, the 5th Kazekage from the Hidden Sand Village, Mei Terumi, the 5th Mizukage from the Hidden Mist Village, Onoki, the 3rd Tsuchikage from the Hidden Stone Village, and Danzo Shimura, representing the Hidden Leaf Village as the acting 6th Hokage, while Tsunade remained in a coma. Sasuke learned that Danzo would be at the summit. This was the man Sasuke blamed most for Itachi's suffering. Danzo had been the one to give Itachi the ultimatum that forced him to massacre the clan. Danzo had manipulated a child into committing genocide. Danzo represented everything Sasuke hated about Konoha's leadership. When Sasuke discovered that Danzo would be traveling to the Land of Iron, he saw an opportunity for revenge that he could not pass up. Sasuke and his team traveled to the Land of Iron and infiltrated the area where the summit was being held. The building was heavily guarded by samurai, the warrior class of the Land of Iron, who used chakra-enhanced sword techniques rather than traditional ninja jutsu. Sasuke did not care about the guards or the security. He was completely focused on finding and killing Danzo. His plan was to sneak in, locate Danzo, kill him, and escape. What he did not account for was how quickly his presence would be discovered. White Zetsu, a member of the Akatsuki with the ability to merge with structures and appear anywhere, crashed through the ceiling of the meeting room where the 5 Kage were discussing their plans. White Zetsu announced to all 5 world leaders that Sasuke Uchiha was in the building. This revelation changed everything. The Kage immediately went on alert. The samurai began searching for Sasuke. What should have been a covert assassination attempt became a public incident with the eyes of the entire shinobi world watching. Sasuke was forced to fight his way through the building. He encountered samurai guards and attacked them without hesitation. These samurai were not his enemies. They were simply doing their duty protecting the summit. But Sasuke cut them down as obstacles in his path. He injured many of them, some seriously, showing no concern for the lives of people who had nothing to do with his revenge. This casual violence against innocents demonstrated how far Sasuke had fallen. He was willing to hurt anyone who stood between him and his goal. The 4th Raikage intercepted Sasuke personally. The Raikage was furious, both about the attack on his brother and about Sasuke's audacity in attacking the summit itself. He was one of the fastest and strongest fighters in the world, using lightning release chakra to enhance his speed and physical power to incredible levels. The Raikage attacked Sasuke with devastating force, moving so fast that even Sasuke's Sharingan had difficulty tracking him. Sasuke responded by activating his Susanoo, the massive chakra warrior technique of the Mangekyo Sharingan. The Susanoo's ribcage formed around him, protecting him from the Raikage's physical attacks. But the Raikage was not deterred. He concentrated his lightning release chakra into his arm and attacked the Susanoo directly, attempting to break through it by sheer force. The collision was explosive. The Raikage's arm met Sasuke's Amaterasu flames that coated the Susanoo. The black flames began to burn the Raikage's arm, forcing him to make a terrible choice. To save his own life, the Raikage had his assistant cut off his burning arm. He sacrificed his left arm to prevent the Amaterasu from spreading and killing him. This injury was entirely Sasuke's fault. The Raikage lost an arm because Sasuke chose to attack the summit. This was not self-defense. This was aggression. Sasuke had come to this neutral location to commit murder, and was willing to maim or kill anyone who tried to stop him, including world leaders who were simply trying to maintain peace. Gaara arrived next to confront Sasuke. Gaara had once been like Sasuke, consumed by hatred and isolation. But Gaara had found redemption through connecting with others, especially Naruto. Gaara tried to reason with Sasuke to make him understand that the path of revenge would only lead to more suffering. Gaara spoke from experience, having walked a similar dark path before choosing differently. But Sasuke rejected everything Gaara said. He attacked Gaara and his siblings without hesitation, showing that he had no interest in redemption or alternative paths. More Kage arrived to stop Sasuke. The Mizukage used her advanced bloodline limits to attack with both lava release and boil release techniques. The Tsuchikage, despite his age, demonstrated why he was still considered one of the most dangerous ninja alive by using particle style, a technique that could disintegrate matter at the molecular level. Sasuke was being attacked from multiple directions by some of the strongest ninja in the world. He was exhausted, low on chakra, and overwhelmed. The Tsuchikage prepared to finish him with particle style, which would have completely destroyed Sasuke's body. Obito appeared at the last moment and teleported Sasuke to safety using his space-time technique. Obito saved Sasuke's life, pulling him out of a situation where he was about to be killed. Obito admitted that he had pushed his luck by sending Sasuke to the summit. The entire attack had been partially a training exercise to push Sasuke's Mangekyo abilities to their limits and to weaken the Kage for potential future capture. But the mission had nearly gotten Sasuke killed, and it had certainly made him an enemy of every major nation. Sasuke was now branded as an international criminal. All 5 Kage nations agreed that he needed to be captured or executed. He had attacked world leaders on neutral ground. He had injured the Raikage. He had shown complete disregard for peace or diplomacy. Every ninja from every major village now had authorization to kill Sasuke Uchiha on sight. He was no longer just a rogue ninja from Konoha. He was a threat to global stability. But Sasuke was not done. After recovering, he pursued Danzo, who had fled the summit building during the chaos. Sasuke tracked him down with Karin's help, using her sensory abilities to locate Danzo's chakra signature. When Sasuke finally cornered Danzo, the battle that followed would reveal just how ruthless Sasuke had become. During this fight, Danzo took Karin hostage, assuming that Sasuke would not harm his own teammate to get to his target. Danzo was wrong. Sasuke did not hesitate. He used his Chidori, the lightning blade technique, to create a spear of electricity and stabbed it straight through Karin's chest to reach Danzo behind her. Karin had been loyal to Sasuke. She had helped him track his enemies. She had healed him after battles. She cared about him, and Sasuke stabbed through her without a moment's hesitation, showing a twisted smile as he did so. He felt no remorse. Karin was simply an obstacle between him and his revenge, so he removed her. Karin survived this attack, but the emotional damage was permanent. She realized that Sasuke did not care about her or anyone else on his team. They were tools to be used and discarded when convenient. After the battle, Sasuke left both Suigetsu and Jugo behind to fend for themselves against the remaining Kage and their guards. He took what he needed from his team and abandoned them without a second thought when they were no longer useful. This showed that Sasuke had lost the ability to value other people as anything more than means to his ends. The 5 Kage Summit arc represents the peak of Sasuke's villainy in terms of pure evil actions. He attacked world leaders. He injured innocent guards. He maimed the Raikage. He stabbed his own teammate through the chest. He abandoned his allies. He showed no remorse for any of it. Every action was cold, calculated, and completely selfish. This was not a troubled hero making mistakes. This was a villain willing to hurt anyone and everyone to achieve his goals. The summit attack announced to the world that Sasuke Uchiha had fully embraced darkness and rejected any path back to the light. Before we move on, make sure to subscribe if you're enjoying this breakdown. But what made Sasuke truly dangerous was not just his willingness to hurt others or his raw power, it was how perfectly he served as the dark mirror to Naruto, showing what the hero could have become if he had made different choices when faced with the same pain and loneliness. Section 8. The Perfect Foil. Sasuke as Naruto's dark reflection. Great heroes need great villains, but the best villains are not simply evil opposites of the hero. The most compelling antagonists are dark mirrors who show what the protagonist could have become under different circumstances or with different choices. Sasuke Uchiha serves this role perfectly for Naruto Uzumaki. They started from remarkably similar places. Both were orphans who lost their parents young. Both grew up lonely and seeking acknowledgement. Both faced rejection and isolation from their peers. Both had demons they carried, whether literal or metaphorical. But despite these shared beginnings, they walked completely opposite paths. Naruto chose bonds, while Sasuke chose isolation. Naruto embraced his village, while Sasuke rejected it. Naruto learned to forgive, while Sasuke cultivated revenge. This parallel structure makes Sasuke the perfect villain for Naruto's story, because every clash between them is not just a physical battle, but a conflict between two opposing philosophies born from the same pain. Naruto and Sasuke's similarities begin with their origins. Both lost their parents when they were infants or very young children. Naruto never knew his parents at all. His father, the fourth Hokage, died sealing the nine-tailed fox inside him moments after his birth. His mother died in the same incident. Naruto grew up as an orphan with no memory of parental love or family connection. Sasuke knew his parents for 7 years before losing them in the massacre. While the circumstances were different, both boys faced childhood without the fundamental support structure that most children take for granted. This shared orphan status created similar psychological effects. Both Naruto and Sasuke experienced profound loneliness. Naruto was shunned by the village because he carried the nine-tailed fox inside him. Adults feared and hated him. Children avoided him because their parents told them to stay away. Naruto had no friends and no family. He acted out, causing trouble and seeking negative attention because any attention was better than being invisible. Sasuke's loneliness came from different circumstances but felt equally isolating. After the massacre, he was the sole survivor of his clan, living alone in an empty compound. He pushed away anyone who tried to connect with him because he had decided that bonds were weaknesses he could not afford. Both boys desperately sought acknowledgement, though they pursued it in different ways. Naruto wanted the village to recognize his existence and value. He dreamed of becoming Hokage so that everyone would have to acknowledge him as important and worthy of respect. He pulled pranks and caused chaos specifically to be noticed and remembered. Even punishment was preferable to being ignored. Sasuke sought acknowledgement through demonstrating superior strength and skill. He wanted to be recognized as the best, as worthy of the Uchiha name, and eventually as strong enough to face Itachi. Both needed external validation because they lacked internal peace or self-acceptance. The series explicitly shows that both boys carried demons that set them apart from others. Naruto literally carried the nine-tailed fox sealed inside his body. This gave him access to enormous chakra reserves and eventual power, but it also made him a target and an outcast. The fox's presence influenced his life from birth, creating the circumstances that led to his isolation and struggle. Sasuke's demon was metaphorical, but no less real. He carried the curse mark from Orochimaru, which was powered by foreign chakra that corrupted him. But more significantly, he carried the demon of his hatred and obsession with revenge. This internal demon drove him to make increasingly dark choices and pushed him away from everyone who cared about him. Their time at the academy showed how similar their starting positions were. Both were considered failures in different ways. Naruto failed the graduation exam multiple times because he struggled with basic techniques like the clone jutsu. He was seen as the dead last student with no talent. Sasuke appeared successful on the surface, graduating at the top of his class, but internally he was failing at everything that truly mattered. He was failing to connect with others. He was failing to find peace or happiness. He was failing to become strong enough to achieve his goal. Both felt inadequate despite their different external circumstances. The rivalry between Naruto and Sasuke began at the academy and defined both of their developments. Naruto saw Sasuke as someone who had everything he wanted: respect, acknowledgement, and natural talent. This made Naruto determined to prove himself as Sasuke's equal or better. He challenged Sasuke constantly, competed with him obsessively, and made Sasuke the measuring stick for his own progress. Sasuke initially dismissed Naruto as an annoying failure, but gradually began to recognize him as a genuine rival. The series shows moments where Sasuke would secretly smile at Naruto's determination or feel motivated to train harder because Naruto was improving. But here's where their paths diverged fundamentally. When faced with their shared pain and loneliness, they made opposite choices about how to respond. Naruto chose to seek connections with others. Every time someone showed him kindness, Naruto treasured it and tried to build on it. His teacher Iruka's acceptance meant everything to him. His teammates Sasuke and Sakura became precious to him despite the rocky start. His sensei Kakashi's guidance was valued deeply. Naruto learned that bonds with others made him stronger, not weaker. He discovered that fighting to protect people he cared about gave him power beyond what he could achieve alone. Sasuke chose the opposite path at every turn. When people tried to connect with him, he pushed them away. When teammates showed they cared, he dismissed their feelings as irrelevant. When offered support or friendship, he rejected it as weakness. Sasuke decided that bonds were chains that would hold him back from gaining the power he needed. He isolated himself deliberately, convinced that being alone would make him stronger. This fundamental difference in how they responded to similar pain created two completely different people from remarkably similar origins. Their approaches to gaining strength also contrasted sharply. Naruto represents the philosophy of hard work and gradual growth. He was not naturally talented. Basic techniques that other students mastered easily took him years to learn. But Naruto never stopped trying. He trained relentlessly, learning from his failures and slowly improving through sheer determination and effort. When he gained power from the nine-tailed fox, he spent years learning to control it properly through discipline and training with mentors. Every increase in Naruto's strength came from earned growth and genuine development. Sasuke took shortcuts whenever they were available. Despite being a natural prodigy with more talent than Naruto, Sasuke chose the easy path to power. He accepted Orochimaru's curse mark, which gave him instant strength, but came with corruption. He left the village to train with a known criminal rather than developing properly under Kakashi's guidance. He was willing to sacrifice his body to Orochimaru if it meant gaining power faster. He took Itachi's eyes rather than earning the eternal Mangekyo through his own development. At every opportunity, Sasuke chose immediate power over earned strength, which is fundamentally a villainous approach. Their relationships with their village demonstrated another key difference. Naruto loved the Hidden Leaf village despite how it had treated him. He had every reason to hate Konoha. The village had shunned him his entire life. Adults had feared and rejected him. He grew up alone because of decisions the village leadership made. But Naruto chose to forgive all of that. He chose to protect the village and eventually became its hero and Hokage. He turned his pain into motivation to make the village better, not to destroy it. Sasuke grew to hate the village that had raised him. Before the massacre, he had no reason to hate Konoha. The village had treated him well as a member of a respected clan. After the massacre, the village tried to support him as best they could. But when Sasuke learned the truth about the massacre, he decided the entire village deserved to be destroyed for the actions of a few leaders. He planned to kill everyone in Konoha, innocent or guilty, to avenge Itachi's suffering. He rejected any positive experiences he had in the village and focused only on his grievances. The series makes clear that Naruto understood Sasuke's pain in a way no one else could. This understanding came from their shared experiences of loneliness and loss. When others tried to stop Sasuke or convince him to return, they could not truly grasp what drove him. But Naruto knew. Naruto had felt the same isolation, the same desire for acknowledgement, the same pain of being alone. This made their conflict deeply personal. Naruto was not just trying to stop a villain. He was trying to save someone who could have been him under different circumstances. He saw in Sasuke a version of himself that had made all the wrong choices. Sasuke acknowledged this connection despite his rejection of bonds. During their first battle at the Valley of the End, Sasuke admitted that Naruto was his closest friend. This admission came reluctantly and was followed immediately by Sasuke's statement that he needed to sever that bond to gain strength. But the fact that Sasuke recognized Naruto as his closest friend reveals that their connection was real and powerful. Even as Sasuke tried to destroy all his bonds, the bond with Naruto remained the strongest and hardest to break. Their rivalry pushed both of them to heights they could not have reached alone. Naruto trained harder because he wanted to catch up to Sasuke. He developed new techniques and pushed beyond his limits because Sasuke was always ahead, always stronger, always the goal he needed to reach. Sasuke, for his part, was motivated by Naruto's impossible determination. Seeing Naruto, who started with less talent, continue to grow stronger, made Sasuke realize he could not afford to be complacent. Their competition drove both of them to become far more powerful than they would have been without each other. The final battle between Naruto and Sasuke at the end of the series was not just about physical strength. It was a battle between their opposing philosophies. Naruto fought to prove that bonds make people stronger. Sasuke fought to prove that severing all connections leads to true power. Naruto fought to save his friend. Sasuke fought to kill the last person he cared about so he could be truly alone. The battle lasted for hours and destroyed the landscape around them. Both fighters pushed beyond their limits, using techniques that nearly killed them. The battle ended in a draw. Both Naruto and Sasuke lost an arm in the final clash of their techniques. Both lay exhausted and unable to move, bleeding out and facing death. Neither had won decisively. This draw was thematically important because it showed that their philosophies were equally matched in terms of the power they could generate. Bonds and isolation both led to incredible strength. The difference was not in power, but in what that power was used for and what it cost to obtain. In that final moment, lying unable to move and possibly dying, Sasuke finally understood what Naruto had been trying to tell him all along. He understood that Naruto's determination to save him was not about duty or orders. It was genuine friendship and care. He understood that bonds were not weaknesses that held you back, but connections that gave your strength meaning and purpose. He understood that his path of isolation and revenge had led him to lose everything that actually mattered, while gaining only empty power. This realization came too late to undo his actions, but not too late to change his future choices. Sasuke works as the perfect villain for Naruto's story because he represents the dark path that Naruto could have walked. Every viewer watching can see that with different choices, Naruto could have become Sasuke. If Naruto had chosen hatred over hope, isolation over connection, and revenge over forgiveness, he would have ended up exactly where Sasuke did. This makes Sasuke's villainy more impactful because it is not foreign or incomprehensible. It is the natural result of choosing darkness when faced with pain, and Naruto came close to making those same choices multiple times. Before we move on, make sure to subscribe if you're enjoying this breakdown. But Sasuke's danger as a villain went beyond his parallel to Naruto or his immense power. What made him truly terrifying was the brilliant tactical mind that allowed him to outthink opponents who were stronger, older, and more experienced than him. Section 9. Intelligence without morality. The thinking villain. Physical power alone does not make a truly dangerous villain. History is full of strong antagonists who were ultimately defeated because they relied only on their strength and not their minds. What makes a villain truly terrifying is the combination of power and intelligence, the ability to outthink opponents while also having the strength to execute those plans. Sasuke Uchiha possessed this deadly combination. He was recognized as a genius from childhood, graduating at the top of his academy class and mastering techniques that took others years to learn. But intelligence in the hands of someone with no moral boundaries becomes a weapon far more dangerous than any jutsu. Sasuke could analyze his opponent's abilities in seconds, devise strategies to counter them, and execute those strategies with cold precision. He could deceive experienced fighters who had decades more combat experience. He could turn his enemies' own techniques against them. And he did all of this without any hesitation or remorse, making him one of the most formidable villains the shinobi world had ever faced. Sasuke's intelligence was evident from his earliest days at the academy. He was not just naturally talented with techniques, he understood the theory behind jutsu, the strategy of combat, and the importance of analyzing opponents. While other students simply practiced the moves they were taught, Sasuke studied why those moves worked and how they could be improved or countered. His instructors recognized that he had an exceptional mind for combat strategy. He could watch a technique once and understand its mechanics, its strengths, and its weaknesses. This analytical approach to learning made him advance far faster than his peers. The Sharingan enhanced Sasuke's natural intelligence tremendously. The Sharingan's ability to perceive movements in detail and predict actions gave Sasuke information that other fighters could not access. He could see the flow of chakra in his opponent's bodies, which told him what techniques they were preparing to use. He could track hand signs and body movements to anticipate attacks before they were executed. But the Sharingan only provided information. What made Sasuke dangerous was how quickly his mind could process that information and formulate responses. Lesser users of the Sharingan might see an attack coming, but not know how to counter it effectively. Sasuke could see an attack, understand its nature, devise a counter, and execute that counter in the space of seconds. The ability to copy techniques was one of the Sharingan's most famous powers, and Sasuke used it masterfully. But Sasuke did not simply copy techniques and use them exactly as he saw them. He analyzed what he copied, understood the principles behind it, and often improved upon the original. The most famous example is his development of the lion combo. He watched Rock Lee use the front lotus technique during the Chunin exams. Lee's technique involved wrapping bandages around an opponent and spinning them into the ground. Sasuke copied the movement pattern and speed, but adapted it to work without the bandages. He created his own version that fit his fighting style better, demonstrating that his intelligence allowed him to not just mimic, but innovate. Sasuke's development of multiple Chidori variations showed his creative approach to technique development. The Chidori was originally taught to him by Kakashi as a single specific technique. It concentrated lightning chakra in the user's hand and required a straight-line charge at the opponent. But Sasuke took this foundation and created numerous variations. He developed Chidori Current, which released the lightning chakra around his body to attack nearby enemies or paralyze them. He created Chidori Senbon, which formed the lightning into needle-like projectiles that could be thrown from a distance. He invented Chidori Sharp Spear, which extended the lightning into a blade that could pierce through defenses and had extended range. Each of these variations solved a specific tactical problem. The original Chidori required getting close to an opponent, which was dangerous against certain enemies. Chidori Senbon gave Sasuke a ranged option. Chidori Sharp Spear gave him extended reach without requiring full commitment to a charge. Chidori Current addressed the problem of multiple opponents surrounding him. Sasuke did not just learn one technique and use it repeatedly. He analyzed its weaknesses and created solutions for every tactical situation he might face. This showed intelligence that went far beyond simple combat skill. His battle against Deidara demonstrated Sasuke's ability to analyze and counter an opponent's entire fighting style. Deidara was a member of the Akatsuki who used explosive clay as his primary weapon. He could create various creatures from clay and detonate them, creating explosions of different sizes and power. Deidara's entire combat philosophy was based on explosive art. Sasuke studied Deidara's techniques during their fight and realized that all of Deidara's attacks relied on the same basic principle, mixing his chakra with clay to create explosive reactions. Understanding this fundamental principle allowed Sasuke to devise a counter. He used his Sharingan's Genjutsu abilities to disrupt Datara's chakra flow at critical moments, causing his explosions to fail or detonate prematurely. He also realized that Datara had to stay at range to avoid his own explosions, which created predictable movement patterns. Sasuke used this knowledge to position himself strategically and force Datara into disadvantageous situations. When Datara finally attempted his ultimate self-destruct technique, Sasuke had already analyzed the attack pattern and used a summoning jutsu to escape at the last moment. He turned what should have been an unavoidable death into a narrow escape through pure analytical thinking. The fight against Danzo Shimura represents the peak of Sasuke's tactical intelligence. Danzo was far more experienced than Sasuke, had decades of combat knowledge, and possessed abilities that seemed impossible to counter. Danzo's right arm was covered in Sharingan eyes taken from the Uchiha massacre. He was using a forbidden technique called Izanagi, which allowed him to rewrite reality itself for brief periods. When Sasuke killed Danzo, the death would simply reverse itself. Danzo would be alive and unharmed, while Sasuke had wasted chakra and revealed his techniques. This seemed like an unbeatable ability. But Sasuke did not panic or give up. Instead, he observed carefully. He noticed that each time Izanagi activated, one of the Sharingan eyes on Danzo's arm would close permanently. This told Sasuke that the technique had a cost and a limit. Danzo could only use Izanagi as many times as he had Sharingan eyes. Sasuke counted the eyes and calculated how many uses Danzo had remaining. Then Sasuke began testing to determine how long each use of Izanagi lasted. He deliberately attacked Danzo and watched carefully to see how much time passed before the technique ended and Danzo had to activate it again. Through careful observation and analysis, Sasuke determined that each use of Izanagi lasted approximately 60 seconds. This was crucial information because it meant Danzo had a window of vulnerability after each activation when he could not immediately use the technique again. Sasuke used this knowledge to plan his final attack. He made Danzo use up all his remaining Izanagi activations through calculated strikes. Then, when Danzo had only one Sharingan eye left, Sasuke used Genjutsu to trick him. Sasuke cast an illusion that made Danzo believe he still had more time remaining on his final Izanagi. Danzo lowered his guard, thinking he was still protected. Sasuke struck in that moment of false security, landing the killing blow when Danzo's technique had actually already expired. This sequence showed intelligence operating at the highest level. Sasuke faced an opponent with a technique that should have been impossible to counter. Instead of giving up, he observed, analyzed, tested, calculated, and finally deceived his way to victory. He defeated decades of experience with pure tactical thinking. He turned an older, more knowledgeable opponent's own technique against him through careful study and planning. This was not luck or superior power. This was a brilliant mind operating without moral restraints. Sasuke's use of Genjutsu throughout the series demonstrated another aspect of his intelligence. Many fighters with the Sharingan relied primarily on the physical enhancements it provided. But Sasuke understood that Genjutsu, the art of illusions, could be even more devastating than direct attacks. He used basic illusions in ways that more powerful fighters did not expect. During his battle with Danzo, the Genjutsu about Izanagi's timing was not a complex or advanced technique. It was a simple illusion. But Sasuke applied it at exactly the right moment to create maximum impact. Against Killer Bee, Sasuke used Genjutsu to disrupt the coordination between Bee and the Eight Tails. Against Datara, he used visual Genjutsu to create openings for physical attacks. Against various other opponents, Sasuke would layer Genjutsu beneath his physical techniques, making enemies doubt what they were seeing and creating hesitation that he could exploit. This versatile use of illusions showed that Sasuke understood combat psychology. He knew that making an opponent doubt their perception was often more effective than simply hitting them harder. Sasuke also demonstrated intelligence in his preparation before battles. He did not simply charge into fights relying on his natural abilities. When he learned he would be facing specific opponents, he researched them. He studied their techniques, their fighting styles, their known weaknesses. Before confronting Itachi, Sasuke had learned as much as possible about Mangekyo Sharingan abilities and how to counter them. Before fighting Danzo, he gathered information about Root's techniques and Danzo's history. This preparation meant Sasuke rarely went into battle blind. He had strategies planned before the first technique was even thrown. The strategic use of his Amaterasu and Kagutsuchi abilities showed tactical thinking beyond simple power application. Many users of powerful techniques simply threw them at opponents and hoped for the best. Sasuke used his black flames strategically. He would use Amaterasu to force opponents into specific positions, then capitalize on their limited movement options. He would coat his Susanoo in flames to create a defensive barrier that damaged anyone who approached. He would create weapons from black flames that served dual purposes of offense and area denial. Every application of his abilities showed careful thought about positioning, timing, and tactical advantage. Sasuke's ability to sync his chakra with Naruto during combination attacks demonstrated intelligence that extended beyond solo combat. When fighting together against powerful enemies, Sasuke could instantly understand Naruto's intentions and coordinate techniques in real time. The creation of Scorch Release through combining Sasuke's fire chakra with Naruto's wind chakra required precise timing and chakra control. According to Tobirama Senju, who was resurrected and witnessed this combination, achieving that level of synchronization was extremely difficult and showed exceptional intelligence from both fighters. What made Sasuke's intelligence particularly dangerous was that it operated without moral boundaries. A hero might see a way to defeat an opponent, but hesitate because the method would cause unnecessary suffering or collateral damage. Sasuke had no such hesitations. If the most effective strategy involved stabbing through an ally to reach an enemy, Sasuke would do it without pause. If winning required deception, betrayal, or cruelty, Sasuke would employ those tactics without remorse. His intelligence was completely in service of his goals, unconstrained by concerns about honor, fairness, or the well-being of anyone else. This combination of genius-level tactical thinking and complete moral flexibility made Sasuke far more dangerous than opponents who were physically stronger but less intelligent. He could defeat enemies who should have been able to overpower him through superior strategy and planning. He could survive situations that should have killed him through quick thinking and creative use of his abilities. He could deceive, manipulate, and outthink opponents with decades more experience. Sasuke was proof that in the shinobi world, a brilliant mind without conscience was more threatening than raw power alone. Before we move on, make sure to subscribe if you're enjoying this breakdown. But Sasuke's tactical brilliance and overwhelming power were ultimately tools in service of a darker purpose. He had developed a philosophy that rejected the very foundation of what made someone human. The belief that severing every bond and connection would somehow make him stronger and allow him to reshape the world through isolation and hatred. So, is Sasuke Uchiha really the perfect villain? After examining 12 major elements of his story, the answer becomes clear. Yes, he is. Not because he was the strongest opponent Naruto faced, though his power was immense. Not because he caused the most destruction, though his attack on the 5 Kage summit nearly started a war. Sasuke is the perfect villain because his story combines every element that makes an antagonist truly compelling. A tragic origin we witnessed firsthand, a gradual transformation that felt inevitable yet was entirely his choice, believable. Motivations that made us understand even when we condemned, and a complexity that kept us invested from his first appearance to his final battle. The Uchiha massacre gave Sasuke trauma that shaped everything that followed. We saw a happy 7-year-old child become a vessel for revenge in a single night. But trauma alone does not create villains. Sasuke's academy years showed us his deliberate choice to embrace isolation over healing, to nurture hatred over seeking connection. The curse mark demonstrated his willingness to compromise with evil for power. His defection proved he would betray everyone for revenge. Each Sharingan evolution came through loss and darkness. Learning the truth about Itachi should have redeemed him, but instead pushed him to new extremes. The 5 Kage summit showed him at his most ruthless, willing to hurt anyone for his goals. His role as Naruto's Dark Mirror gave his villainy thematic weight beyond simple antagonism. What elevated Sasuke above ordinary villains was his brilliant tactical mind, unconstrained by morality. His philosophy that bonds were weaknesses to be severed, and his revolutionary plan to become the world's enemy. These elements combined to create someone who was terrifying, not just because of his power, but because of how intelligently and completely he had committed to darkness. He was not randomly evil. Every terrible choice traced back to understandable, if completely wrong, reasoning. Yet throughout all of this, we cared about him. We hoped he would choose differently even as we watched him make the worst possible decisions at every turn. This emotional investment came from seeing who he was before the darkness consumed him, from understanding his pain even while condemning his actions, from recognizing that he had every opportunity to step back and chose to jump instead. Sasuke made us feel what great villains should make audiences feel: sympathy without excuse, understanding without agreement, investment without approval. The shinobi world had faced villains before Sasuke. Orochimaru, Pain, Madara, Kaguya, all were powerful threats with their own motivations. But none of them were Naruto's best friend. None of them grew up in front of our eyes. None of them made us question whether the hero's philosophy was actually correct. None of them hurt us emotionally every time they rejected another chance at redemption. Sasuke's villainy mattered in a way theirs did not, because we were invested in who he was, not just what he could do. In the end, Sasuke Uchiha is the perfect villain, because his story asks a question that resonates beyond anime. What happens when someone with every reason to become a villain chooses exactly that path? And can they ever find their way back? His answer, written in blood, betrayal, and finally, reluctant redemption, is why we still talk about him years after his story ended. He showed us both how people break and how they might, against all odds, be put back together. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.